Down, down, out. What's up, everybody? You are tuned into the best of the Elks Call Season 2. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X, and we can't thank you enough for tuning in to our show. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and favorite button. Your support means everything to us here at the Elks Herd and Shotgun Sports Network. Today, we will be giving you the best of Double E Alumni, that classic green and gold. This episode is brought to you by RoyalRetros.com. Save 10% off CFLPA merchandise, throwback jerseys, and more with code Shotgun Sports. All caps, no spaces. Once again, that's RoyalRetros.com. They are the throwback kings. They have classic green and gold inspired jerseys, so you know what the drill is. You know the deal. All right. Today's episode, all about Double E Alumni. Now, 2024, this was a great year for a couple of reasons, anyways. The Elks were celebrating their 75th season, and despite the dismal start, there were still, a couple reasons to cheer. One of those reasons was having the biggest gathering of Double E alumni in one area, one event, one signing, and that was at the home opener. And of course, we also saw Warren Moon return to the city of Edmonton. Well, unfortunately, he hasn't joined our show yet or anything like that. But we did have some other amazing former Edmonton football players join us on the Elks Call. Garrick Jones was attempting to get in on a Double E ownership bid early on in the year. So that was a great conversation nonetheless. Obviously, we know that it went the way of Larry Thompson, but still very interesting to hear his insight before the sale became official. Then, of course, Craig Ellis, he's always a great chat, always has some great things to say, especially his insight in on Tracy Ham. I think that's a really great listen. And then we finished this show with a conversation with Scotty Cloman, Scotty J, who happens to have his own successful podcast rolling, pretty much weekly right now. It's called Dreams. We had him on to talk a bit about that, so you'll have to find out a little more in the show. So without further ado, here are the best conversations of the year from the Elks Call. And today, we are going to talk Elks, CFL, and more with the owner of Fancentric, former NFL, CFL, and Double E offensive tackle. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Garrick Jones. Garrick, how you
finally
doing?
made it.
Yes, we finally made it.
Oh, good. Good to be here, guys. I thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for joining us today. How's the first month of the year treating you? Like, did you have any resolutions or anything like that?
No resolutions, but I knew that this first quarter of the year was going to be hectic for me. So it's been a lot of traveling, a lot of meetings with investors and things of that nature. So we're putting together some plays, man. I think you guys are going to like what we got in store for everybody. So.
Oh, that's fantastic, because that's exactly what we want to talk to you about today. Big portion of our show today.
Absolutely.
Super stoked. Before we get started, we'd like to thank everyone who is tuning into the show, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, TuneIn, Edmonton Sports Talk, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to hit like and subscribe at Shotgun Sports Network on YouTube so we can give away that 2015 signature series jersey once we hit 500 subscribers. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. iHeartRadio, by the way, we're on there too. So that's another one of those big ones.
Yes.
Got to get around everywhere,
Just like Garrick, it's literally everywhere.
Just like Garrick Jones, apparently. So yeah. So speaking of which, let's get into the schedule. First, we're going to start the show with The More You Didn't Know, where we're going to interview Garrick and talk about his life on and off the turf, as well as his vision for an athletic ownership group. So after that, we're going to give you an Edmonton sports update. Then we're going to break down the latest Elks transactions in Kathy's Herd Report, brought to you by Herdies. And then to cap the show, we're going to open up the fan forum where we talk about hot topics surrounding the CFL and the sports world as a whole. So let's get this show started.
Let's do
With,
it.
with the more you didn't know with you, Garrick. So in this segment, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna get to know you better, and we're gonna ask some questions. So, as well to our live viewers right now in the herd chat, blow it up, get in there, get your questions in there, and especially if we have time, we will definitely get your questions onto the show. So, Garrick, you've had a storied career, but as we know, all great stories have a beginning. So, what made you want to become a football player, and how did you start your journey?
Man, to be honest with you, I never loved football, to be honest with you. It was my brothers. I was the youngest of two older brothers, and they were the athletes. And I was just, I was in the art, band, I was this guy, right? But I was athletic, when it was time to be at different times. But I never really was into sports like that. Um, and I watched them, man. They were supposed to be the guys that were in the NFL, the CFL, the NBA, MLB, those things. But they chose to go a different route. In the streets a little bit and doing their thing, having fun. But it wasn't really until I got, I was in grade 7, grade 8, and I had some coaches come to me, and they said, "Hey, I don't know how serious you are about sports and about football, but they say we can see you on Sunday right now from a lot of what you're doing." And I was a late bloomer, to be honest with you. Like I said, I was all about band, so I had to make a decision by grade 9 if I was going to continue to play in the band or if it was going to be football. So I decided to go ahead and jump on in with football. It gave me an opportunity to really start looking at school and the possibility of getting school paid for. So at that point, I just wasn't going to be big and in class and not doing anything. So I decided to go ahead and stick with the football. I'm glad I did. But I've always done so much outside of the sport, and that's kind of been my deal. I have so many different things that I like to do, but I was blessed to be able to do it at the highest level and be successful. And that's kind of my deal, man.
No,
Yeah,
it's pretty sweet.
and I mean, you grew up in Arkansas,
Yes,
played
North Little
football for Arkansas State, and
Rock.
came up through the system in your home state, of course. So, what was that like?
Oh, it was cool. Of course, Arkansas State was considered the other Arkansas outside of the Razorbacks, of course. So everybody, from my neighborhood to across the state, were Razorback crazy. And when I was coming out of high school, I was recruited, really heavily and had a ton of offers. But I decided to stay in state. I had some situations at the house with my folks, and my mom was, she was kind of sick at the time, and I've told this story before, but I was recruited by Arkansas. I was offered. I just didn't like the environment at the time, with the head coach that they had there, and I couldn't see myself spending 4 years there, and this, that, and the third. So, got wind that there was a new head coach coming into Arkansas State, and he had just, finished the Rose Bowl with Eddie George and all those guys at Ohio State when they were on the national championship, and he was coming to town, and we would actually be playing, all of the teams that offered me, and we were independent, so we were playing everybody. So it was cool. I got a chance to go to A State and met some really good people, and was around a lot of good coaches. And Mike Tomlin, that was his. He was a receivers coach there at the time, so now he's the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. And it's a lot of history that came from Arkansas State, man. A lot of good guys, a lot of good people. And man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I played a lot of different individuals and had some fun with it.
Oh, that is awesome. That is, like even Mike Tomlin, right? Being around
Yeah,
like
yeah,
some of those greats, and now we consider them greats, right? And um,
right.
these coaches and players that they're hearing those stories, especially from former players, and to see how small the world of football is.
Oh,
Hmm.
it's very
But
small.
like even the Zach Laros, let's say somebody's
Right.
talking about Taylor
Yep.
Swift on here is in
Yeah.
the herd chat talking about Taylor Swift already, but
Right, right.
Zach Colaros is in the box, and that's because the Kelseys and Colaros used to play together.
Yes.
Exactly.
So love to hear that. Now, you were signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars out of college, undrafted. but things didn't quite go as planned, and then you ended up heading to Canada and you went to play for the Blue Bombers.
Right.
What can you tell us about your first season playing in Winnipeg for the CFL?
Man, it was wild, man. Because I didn't have a senior season of college, so I ended up leaving after my junior year. So I had chased scouts from Little Rock to LA and from LA back to Mobile, Alabama to the Senior Bowl. So I was out of ball for a minute, and got the opportunity to work out for the scouts while I was on the road. And eventually, when I got to the Senior Bowl, they really worked me out. And Jacksonville was one of the ball clubs that said, you know what, you might have an opportunity. So they let me know what they needed to see by the time I got to pro day, and I met and exceeded those expectations, man. And they brought me in as a high priority free agent after the draft. And when I came in, that was like my first taste of the politics over playing time and how that system worked, And I met a lot of good guys there. I had the opportunity to work my way up until they signed the tackle that they drafted, and then I was on my way out, So I went from 111-degree weather in Jacksonville to -3 and raining sideways in Winnipeg when I first got there, right? So it was different. I didn't know anybody. I barely knew the rules. I got a chance to kind of get into it a little bit, but I didn't know anything about the game. And by the second day of practice, Coach Dave Ritchie, came up to me and said, "You're starting at left tackle." So, and that first game was against Alfred Payton, the sack leader from the year before. So I was with a good group of guys. I had some good vets around me, Mo Elwanibi and Dave Mudge. And those guys said, "Hey, you might not know the plays, but you're going to go back down to the States and we're going to help you." So they would be pointing out where I needed to go, letting me know what plays there were. And that's how we made it, man. So it was fun, man. And it was the best time I ever had as a professional athlete. Loved the Peg. The Peg was really good to me. And man, that's when I fell in love with the CFL,
So, with that, you've been on the roster for 4 different NFL teams and 3 in the CFL. So
Oh, yeah.
you finished your career with a double E in 2009. And of
Right.
course, it's clear that you have love for both the league and the green and gold. But
Yeah.
what I want to know is, what do you like most or more or maybe less? What is your opinion of the CFL versus the NFL? Which one do you like more?
Oh, CFL all day. CFL all day. And I mean, I can say it with a straight face, but the NFL, it's a lot more time consuming. There is a ton of politics in it. I mean, it's politics in all of football, from a professional standpoint. But I think the job security, those are a lot of the things that went on in the NFL. Every Tuesday, no matter how good you played, there was somebody that'll replace you. They were working guys out, that day on your day off. So it was that kind of a cycle, man. And with that level of non-job security, it was a lot of stress. And the days were long. I mean, of course, you're getting paid a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it wears on you. It takes a toll on you. And I think that's why the careers are really so short there. But as far as with the CFL, we got to remember, I was doing a lot of other things. I'm out networking, talking to people in the community, doing all kind of different things. So when we were done practicing, after our 4 hours, it was time for me to go to work, and that was really cool for me to just get out and just meet the people and just be there, that was one of the things that I really liked about it. So I think the differences were with the CFL, it was a lot of opportunity to be enthralled with the fans. And with the NFL is not that. With the NFL is not that. But at the end of the day, it's we made it through it. But I think the CFL was just, for me, it was a blast, man. I loved it.
That's amazing.
Awesome. I do have a follow-up question before we move into, what we came to talk about. But
Okay.
You did mention that, there's a lot more to you than just football, right? That you have a lot of other hobbies, that you have a lot of other things that you like to do other than that. And because, when you grew up, you were not necessarily the athlete of the family.
Right.
If you didn't end up being in football, in the CFL, and the NFL, what would you be doing?
A team owner.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no. I mean, there was so much, to it. I think sports helped me really kind of focus, a lot of what I wanted to do. But I've always been blessed with, with the ability to really grasp a lot. And when it came down to, meeting people and just identifying and being able to relate to people, I've always had that knack, and that's something that I didn't really realize what it was until like now. Um, but yeah, it would be some form of ownership, running a business. I started my first business when I was 13. That was graphics design and marketing and promotion and all the different things you see. It's a lot of what my company and myself do when we get the opportunity. But it would have been some form of ownership. It's just that's just always been in me. And that was when I was playing. It was on the job training. I even though I knew my position and I knew how to play the game, I was mirroring and shadowing all of the other components like the GM and the team presidents and all
Yeah,
those different things, man. So yeah, I'd have been an owner if I hadn't played ball.
that's
Kind of just
awesome.
being around it and playing, how it works in your head, right? That's
Right,
sounds
right,
like that's exactly what you're doing. And it's funny because that's what we want to talk about next. Um, so with the future, you're trying to build something here, and we know you're a businessman. We know that you've been an entrepreneur since high school, like you just
right,
said, right? So
right,
you own Fancentric and then 73 Holdings LLC.
right, right.
So tell us a little bit more about both of those businesses, Garrick.
So 7-3 is more so the umbrella company. And under that, we have a ton of verticals, which Fancentric DAO is essentially a NFT rewards community for sports fans to be able to have perks, benefits, be able to have exclusive meet and greets, all of the things that fans, as I listened to them, said that they wanted. It gives them a voice, because a lot of times, especially in the NFL, you can go 0-17 or 17-0 and still be, as a team, still be profitable. So there's not a real reason for ownership to really listen to the fans, right? Because they know we're gonna get your money anyway. So yeah, whatever. So as I really got in tune with the fans, we said, hey, let's just start figuring out the best way to invite the fans into where they actually have an opportunity to have a voice and be able to be a part of decision making and those types of things. So we just said we'll take what Edmonton was doing back in the day. We'll take what Green Bay was doing with the community owned type of atmosphere and take it to the 21st century. So as we look to buy teams, we'll incorporate and infuse fan-centric into the DNA of what's going on, to where now, we have the old guard and then we have the younger generation that's a little more in the crypto and in the DeFi space. But all of the opportunities we have will be, felt by all of the fans. And that's one of the best things right there. But then you got the private equity fund in which we get a chance to bring in institutional capital investors, accredited investors, and now we have a chance to go after big teams, right? So, which is really cool because it's based on sports acquisitions and real estate. So it's kind of like the McDonald's model, that's real estate, right? If you ever watch The Founder, that's essentially what we're doing. We're building sports and entertainment districts around these teams that we're looking to purchase, and that gives us an opportunity to have retail, restaurants, concert venues, condos, hotels, any and everything you can think of that will generate revenue 365 days a year, and that runs parallel with the teams that we have in the district. So those are that's a hedge of protection, right? That's how you have fans in the stands. You want to make it a destination. And that's essentially what we're looking to do with teams that we acquire at some point. And then from there, just the other ventures that are a part of it. We want to make this a family type of environment that everybody benefits from it, and everybody has the opportunity to have some say in what we're doing. And with that, it's about education. So once you're in, we start educating you on blockchain. We incentivize education, doing modules, learning about the logistics of games, what goes on in games, how games are ran. So that way, when you come to the game, you're not just looking at it as a fan, you're looking at it as an owner. And that's what we wanted to do, be able to change the game when it comes down to that.
So that's really getting fans involved and making it more of a community, because that's kind of what we've been trying to do with the Elks Herd. Is we're trying to build a community, get more fans herded together, I guess, right?
Yes.
But
There you go.
everybody's got to be stronger together. And the Edmonton Elks have been running the community model for a very long time, but there's a difference between city owned and community owned. And
You're
Yes.
right. I get what you're saying.
yeah, you take a look at what the Green Bay Packers do, you have the opportunity, even if it seems like a bit of a gimmick, you have the opportunity to spend $200 and everybody else spends their $200 to get a piece
Right.
of paper that says you're a Packers owner. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
like Garrick said, bringing that to the 21st century and,
Right.
bringing it to a modernized version. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's incredible.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to look at it, with Green Bay. You do get the certificate, right, and you do get the opportunity to come to the shareholders meetings. But
Yeah.
that's about it, right? So,
Yeah.
and you can pass that down to your family. But what we wanted to do is be able to have more utility attached to what we're doing,
Right.
where the fans really get the opportunity to have tangible situations that they can really benefit from. And that's what goes on inside of those districts. You're able to experience the top-notch restaurants. You're able to get the merch. You're able to do all these different things. And then once we get a little further in the process, that's when we will launch a tradable token. That's attached to all of the teams that we have under management in that city. So now you get a chance to get into the financial portion of it. But by that time, you will be educated on everything that's going on in blockchain, and the ultimate goal is to raise the economic ceiling of the fans to where now they are considered accredited investors. But that's another story. But I'm tying everything and using sports
I
and
love
and and,
it.
and these as a connective tissue. But we're going to change the DNA of what goes on in professional sports.
And you know what? I haven't been involved in sports for a very long time. So
Right.
I came into this franchise from a very different point of view than other people that have grown up with football and gone to the stadiums. I was introduced in a very I don't want to call it a sterile, but I
Right.
felt
The
kind of like an
2021,
outsider, right?
it was the
It was
2021 season right
it
after
was
Right. Okay. Okay.
fresh rebrand. Yeah, it
yes.
wasn't the greatest thing to walk into as a new fan.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I think one of the things that allowed me to do is kind of take a look at the franchise itself from a very objective point of view, right? Because
Absolutely.
I did not have that love for the team that people just build for years and years that they, become
Right.
hardcore die-hard fans,
Yeah.
right? And I was able to look at it from a very objective point of view. And that's one of the things that I realized. There's such a disconnect from what you see in the field and the game itself and what the
Absolutely.
fans feel and how they feel represented and how they feel like they belong in
And
the game
involved, and
and
also involved, right? Like
definitely.
Right. Right.
we sit down at row 6 in section X by the 20-yard line.
Right.
We can be involved with the game so that we can be loud, so that we can, try to make the mess up on the field, really, with how
Yeah.
loud we are. That's You're within earshot. Maybe the odd heckle here and there on Labor Day rematch, but either way, feeling more involved. And the Edmonton Elks, let's be real, the Edmonton Elks have not necessarily done a great job, especially during the rebrand years.
Mhm.
Victor had definitely tried to do some great things,
He
but
definitely tried very hard,
Yeah. I
bring a
get it.
lot of involvement and a lot of
reinventing the wheel. So,
yes.
kind of going into the next question here, what would be your vision for the Edmonton Elks in 2025 as a business? Like, let's say if what you're trying to accomplish is
Right.
successful, what would you change versus the current structure of, football on and off the field? I guess off the field, football off the
Yeah.
field, really, as a business.
Well, that's where, the entire movement comes into play, with the athletes and guys who've been there, done that. And it all starts at the top, period, point blank. It's a culture shift, and I think it's a reintroduction of a culture that once was, but where a culture that's headed in another direction or headed in a new dimension. And it's about bridging that gap. That's really what it is. The individuals inside of the building, on the field, and the fans have to buy into that, and we have to reciprocate. What the fans are feeling. When it comes down to being diehard, you should be rewarded for that loyalty, right? You should feel like you are a part of this thing. Like when you go home, you should feel like that's your team. And it's the same, with upper management. It's the same with ownership. Everybody in the building has to feel like they want to run through a brick wall in order to get to what it is that we have, what we're looking to do, and that's to be Grey Cup champions. We don't show up to lose. I mean, and that's the offensive lineman mentality in me. It's like, shut up and put your pads on. Let's go. It's what it is. And but you have to be strategic. You have to bring the right people in the building, and you have to be the right person for the job and really believe it. And a lot of people will be in positions, and you can tell. It's easy to tell if they really believe what they're saying or if they are just going through the motions. And it may be a vanity play for them. A lot of owners, they just want to say, I own a team. No, when you bring in players that actually went through and understand the culture and understand the history, it's a different dynamic. And getting back to that is us filling the stadium again, because when I played, there was not games that there were no fans. So I don't know anything about that. So I know how to get back to the fans being there and putting them in a position to feel like they're really not only wanted, but are really heard and appreciated. And that's what this thing is about. It's about bringing everything that we've learned off the field in business, and also the teamwork aspect that we've grown up in, and everybody being held accountable. And it all starts with the head. I don't care who you are, and that's just what it is.
Yes. And what would you say that right now is the biggest bottleneck for the Edmonton Elks as a business right now? As a businessman that
Yeah,
has inside knowledge
yeah, 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 yeah.
both sides, what would
To be honest with you, Catherine, from what I've seen and me doing my due diligence and my studies, um, where the team is now, we got to get away from the COVID excuse, because it was happening way before COVID, right? I think COVID exposed a lot of in inadequacies as far as inside of the organizations, and this is for all businesses. You got to be able to pivot. And when you're not able to pivot and really make sure that you're leading the way, things can go awry really quickly. And I think that's where, with ball players and individuals who've been in sports situations and scenarios, for me, it has to be quick, because I can have a bad play, but in the next 20 some odd seconds, I'm in another play. So I have to have a short memory, but at the same time, I got to understand, okay, keep my feelings in checks, my emotions in check, and understand that this is a logical type of scenario. But from what I've seen, it was so much it was COVID and we're losing money and those types of things. There's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that you're not losing money. So, and like I say, it starts with the management, it starts with the ownership, and it starts with everybody being held accountable. My thing is, we don't do scapegoats. If I screwed up, I screwed up. Now, how do I learn from it, and how do we get back on track? Because I'll give anything 15 minutes, and after that, it's time to go to work. I'll okay, we'll vent 15 minutes, but after that, we still have a play to run, and that's the mentality that has to be had in any type of business, in any type of environment. In a marriage, and raising kids, it doesn't matter. If you apply those techniques and that, at the end of the day, you'll be okay, because people will buy in because they're going to follow you. And they want to see what the leader's talking about. Okay, what is the leader saying? Oh, it was COVID. No, 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 no. We got work to do. And definitely the Elks have a ton of work to do, but it's not insurmountable. It can be done. It's just you have to think, plan, and execute. You got to have a definitive plan in place, and a plan that everybody can get in front of and be a part of. But with me, it's enough room in the sandbox for everybody to play. That's young, old, new. It doesn't matter. If you're not born yet, by the time you get here, you'll have a spot in the sandbox with us.
Nice.
oh, gave me chills.
So, okay, so speaking of which, right? Obviously,
Uh-huh.
the attendance has been on a little bit of a decline for multiple factors.
Right.
What do you think brings fans to a CFL game in 2024?
Oh man, you got to connect with them. It's isn't hard, man. It's in rocket science. I think as humans, man, we make things a little too hard. There's been a disconnect, right? And everybody knows it because, and this is one thing that I learned, being from Arkansas, studied Sam Walton, Walmart, Sam's, all of that, right? Sam Walton said the customer can hire and fire whoever in the building they want by taking their money elsewhere. And that's the same for fans. The fans have the power, and you got to come into it understanding that as a team owner, as a player, all those different things. And I think you have to get to a point as far as from ownership and management. The fans are not commodities, just like the players aren't commodities, because without either one of those, you don't have anything. Nobody's playing, nobody's paying. You know what I'm saying? So if you come into it and you respect and you appreciate the fans and they feel appreciated and they feel like they have a voice, the fans will come back because you have made a home for them. It has to be a safe space for them. And a lot of times you don't get that with these organizations. And it's unfortunate because I look at it, I was able to see it from the inside out and from the outside in. So I know where all the weak spots are. I know where all these different things can go wrong and can go right. But without the fans, you don't have anything. So it's about really reconnecting with the fans, re-engaging with the fans and being intentional about it and not just window dressing. It has to be genuine. Like, you see me, man, I'm on Twitter or X or whatever it is at this point, and you'll see me. That's the mentality that we have as players. We would be out in the community, and nothing will change as an owner. You have to be accessible, to a degree. You can't be accessible for everything and everybody because you have a business to run. But those are the things that have to happen. You have to have a fan advisory board, right, where you get maybe 25 or 30 of the fans, and they're invited into the building and they represent the masses. The same thing with the players. And now you get a chance to bring those opinions and those comments and those questions to the table. And now you allow your people to vote on what they want to see done. And now we're able to bring it into what we're doing from an executive standpoint. And we're able to make those changes or say, hey, we got your request, but here's why we can't do this now. Not saying it'll never happen, but here's why. And it's communication and transparency. So you got to be intentional with the fans, man, and just really engage with them and make them feel appreciated and do it for the right reasons. Because like I said, it has to be a safe space. It has to be about a family dynamic, and this is what it is.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I always bring it up to, the fact that I'm a fairly new fan. And I didn't grow up with, the team. And the same thing with my children, right? Because now they're being introduced to the team as well, now that we're doing this and we're so engaged with the team. And I think what absolutely sold me on being a now lifelong fan was the interaction that I saw with Wilder James Jr. with kids.
That young man got it. He understood it.
Right? That interaction, what he did for the community, and the same thing goes for players like Aaron Grimes. And,
AG is a good guy.
Community, they're there, they're engaging with the fans, they're asking questions, they're trying to make things better. That right there is what sold me. And my kid as well. He continues to ask about him. He wants to know where he is, where he's playing.
He's going to follow his career,
and he's going to follow his career because he felt heard and he felt appreciated as a little fan. And that's where it started, and I 100% agree.
And we do have, so speaking of fans, we have quite a few questions in the Herd Chat today. Shout out to Dave Retz. I see you, John. John's got quite a few questions in here. Pug and Pigskin. Shout out Jason, Chris Agar. Hello tonight. The Herd Chat is busting. What do we got here? Scroll up just a little bit more. I think there was another one. Go down. Okay, there you go. That's the one.
What do you think of the upper deck at the Elks Stadium being closed off?
If you're looking at it from a business schematic and optics, if you have the cameras and the cameras are panning and it's empty up there, you can have maybe, let's just say 18,000, 19,000, even 20,000. It looks empty, right? So optically, from a business schematic and television, if you don't have people there, you got to close it, right? But that's a band-aid, right? We got to get the people back in the stands. Like I said before, we didn't have that when I was here, So it's that sense of pride, it's a sense of urgency, but it's also a sense of family that the fans want to be here. They want to spend their money, and they want to be a part of it. So it could very easily change. That's not a problem. It's one of those things where it's more or less to be able to sell what's going on with the league. You have to optically do it the right way when it comes down to the camera work, and those are some of the things that we talk about when it comes down to logistics of games and how things are structured, so that the way the fans understand when things happen, right? Because if you got people scattered all across the place and it looks dormant, it looks barren, that's not a good look. To really say, hey, we're the team of the future. So from an optic standpoint, that's understandable. But you got to be working toward filling that back up rather quickly and it not be permanent.
And you know what? I feel like that might be a challenge for the fans as well, right? Especially those that really don't want to see the upper stadium being closed off. And now they're
Yeah.
really going to be pushing
Yeah.
towards making sure that every game there's enough people coming in, so they have to open it up. So
Right.
Well, yeah, gives you a goal, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's a gateway goal every game day at
Right.
home. Your goal is to get as many sections
Right.
open in the upper bowl, kind of like BC does, right? And they
Yeah.
celebrate it, big celebration.
Mhm.
Now you have to play on that, and now
Yeah.
it's a lot more work to fill it up than it is to
Yeah.
take them out.
Definitely.
By the way, Pug and Pigskin, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a friend here, Pug and Pigskin. Hey guys, hey Garrick. Love Garrick's ideas and plans. Keep rolling, Mr. Jones. Definitely. So, let me hide that.
Absolutely.
And then Dave Ratz, you guys rock. Thank you, Dave Ratz. So yeah, a good question right here.
Mhm.
Two good questions from John. One
Right.
is Garrick Jones. Did you get a chance to play with Joe Anoa'i, aka Roman Reigns, WWE?
Yeah, Joe's a good guy, man. Joe's a damn good guy, man. Cool people, man. Cool people. We got a chance to get to know each other. And I got an opportunity to talk with him in depth before he really said, hey, I'm gonna go wrestle. Because he was kind of at a crossroads, right? He didn't really know the next steps of what he was gonna do. And I was just a ear for him, and I just listened to him. And I told him, I said, man, that's in your DNA. It's one of those things where if you decide that that's what you're going to go do it, because everybody that's playing ball wants to make sure that, or get the opportunity to show that they're elite. And he was a damn good player. But I was like, man, I would go do what the family did, and that's kind of the conversations that we had. But he was a really cool guy, man. And I've been keeping up with him and keeping up with, what's going on with him. But I love everything that he has going on, man. But he's a damn good player. Love playing with him, man.
Oh, that's sweet. No,
Yeah.
and well, yeah, and the legends, right? Like he didn't play here for too long, but everybody,
Yeah.
he's one of the most popular people that have ever played for
Right, exactly.
areas.
Exactly.
No, that's really sweet. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Bella here in the herd chat. What are your thoughts on the Edmonton Elks losing Demetrius Maxey?
I played with Maxie. Maxie's a damn good guy. Matter of fact, I kind of congratulated him, on him making his move, man. But we stay in contact. So, he's a great coach, man. And he's one of those guys that got it done on the field. So there's instant respect there from the players. And you got to really look at that when it comes down to your coaches. When I played, you had guys that didn't play the game, but they were very well respected because respect was given. And they were decorated because of what they've done on the field. So that's where the respect came from. But you had guys who played the game and respect was there because we knew what it took to get here. We knew what it was to go through training camp and you're sending guys home and all these different things. And when the days are running together, I know you were mentally tough enough to get it done. And you know what the players are going through. So that's where the connection comes in when you have guys like Max. But man, he's a damn good guy, man. And we go back and forth though. So he's aware of a lot of what's going on, man. So a lot of guys are. A lot of guys are.
Oh no, I'm glad. I mean, there's always going to be people with ears to the ground, but also you're a really well connected gentleman. So
Oh yeah, man.
Garrick,
That's just from playing ball, man.
Yeah,
Playing ball.
playing ball. I just wanted to bring up the fact that we do have some fans here listening, and it seems to really reflect, with what you're saying and really, making a point. We have Daryl Tick here, listen to your season ticket holders, like you say,
There you
right?
go.
Those
There you
are
go.
the people that are spending money year after
Absolutely.
year and want to be part of the team. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Daryl hit it right on the head. You have people who are fully invested in what's going on. And when they feel like they're not heard, that's where the disconnect comes from. So you have to really make it a point. Like I said, you got to be intentional about everything that you do. And it's not just window dressing, because people can see straight through that. And that's one of the things that I don't do. I'm genuine. I'm one of those guys, man. I understand, like both sides of the fence, and you try to find a midpoint. You can't make everybody happy all of the time. If you were, you'd be an ice cream salesman, right? Let's get it, and everybody's happy. But you have to understand that, and make them understand that we are working to get to a place where you're going to feel like you're more viable and you're more appreciated. But when you have your people, that everybody's dollars matter, period, point blank. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're spending some type of money, you're the engine. And then you got the players out there that are engines as well. It's unfortunate that, like I say, the two most important groups to an organization, is especially a sports organization, are the fans and the players. If you don't have either one of those, you don't have anything. So
well, exactly.
Yes.
Oh, and I guess we'll wrap up the herd chat section of this with we'll go with that comment from Daniel here.
Yeah, that was a good comment.
As a 50+ year fan, I have felt a disconnect since the last cup when Moss was fired to me, double E, right? Was fired to me. It has gone into a free fall. One
Yeah.
example: for years there was a nucleus that was identifiable for me. And Daniel, I want to say this could possibly be Daniel by the lake. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, Daniel. Yes, when you had Jason Moss as head coach, he was passionate. Of course, it sucks that we were, a stepping stone to where he is now. Well, no, that's a great thing that's what, we were. But at the same time, it would have been nice if we could have gave him some more support and developed him a little bit better. Same time, that's
Right.
where he was at in his coaching career. So,
Right.
the hindsight 2020 way she goes. But as soon as you lose, like a Dwayne Mandrusiak, I know you can resonate a little bit with this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 75th coming up. It is a massive season. You need wins.
Right.
Dwayne Mandrusiak still isn't back for his 50th year.
Right.
Now, Dwayne has a good job.
Yeah.
Friend of heard Dwayne's good stuff. Love
Yeah.
Dwayne.
Yeah.
However, is he going to be happier coming back to the Elks for some sort of role when his equipment job right now is taken by somebody that's capably doing it well? Dan is great over at the Edmonton Elks as well, right? So what do you do in that scenario, really? But what we're getting to here is Bone is missing from Common Stadium.
Absolutely.
Like what was Bone to you coming up as a player in Edmonton?
It's brotherhood, man. It's family. It's that safe space. It's us against everybody, right? And when you start taking those pieces away, you chip away at the foundation, and that's what we got to get back to. That's what we got to fight for. When I was on the field with my brothers, I'd fight for my brothers. Period, point blank. It didn't matter what it was, right? So we knew what our job was. We understood the assignment. Along the lines of, and along the way, people started forgetting that they didn't understand their assignment. And in that, you lost a lot of that. But that's definitely what has to come back to the table. And there's opportunities for those things in the right circumstances and situations. And And when people start to see that, the fans start to see those pieces start to come back and fit in roles that will leave a legacy. They know that it's a clear and definitive plan for not only the next season, but for the duration of getting Edmonton back to where it needs to be. And that's what it's about. It's about bringing a lot of the players that were there and that have seen success and championships, and being able to mentor the younger guys, and be in the building and be around, and the people can see them again. And that's how you bridge that gap between the old guard and the new regime. And but when it comes down to the situation like with Dwayne, man, yeah, that's hard, right? That's a hard one. That hurt me, and I wasn't even there. I was like, what are we doing? And but we got it's some clear definitive plans for those types of things. And that's if Edmonton decides to go private, and me and my group have an opportunity to be in that conversation. We have a clear and definitive plan for the present and the future that'll change the game, and everybody in the city can be proud, of what we're doing in the direction that we're headed.
Oh,
Well, I'm pretty sure you have a whole lot of support from a whole lot of fans. We have Daniel right here. Love what you're doing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it, man. No, hey, you guys have the power. You guys can say, hey, look, we want this group to get a fair shake, because that's all we want is a fair shake. Because once we get the opportunity, and that, as a player, all you want is the opportunity to get on the field and be able to show what you can do. And it's the same thing with the opportunity for ownership. All we want is a fair shake to be able to go in and present, our case, and from there, hey, we'll see how it goes. Because, like I say, I don't show up to lose. Period.
love it. Well, and
Yeah.
we're definitely going to try to have maybe Calvin McCarty on the show here in a month or so. We'll
Yeah,
Calvin
yeah.
on, try to talk about this a little bit more. But it's great. John here, so he supports you buying the team.
What can we do to help?
Yeah, people are trying. People are coming out the woodworks to get this going.
Right.
Funny,
So,
a couple of weeks ago or whenever, a past episode, we were talking about this, the ownership and the
right.
possibilities. And one of the topics was, alumni or, something owned group, right? And
Mhm.
and we were like, maybe we just do kind of, that idea of give people a little bit of ownership, right? And
Yeah,
here's I'll give you $20 if I can own 0.0001%
Yeah,
of the team.
yeah. I get it. I get it.
So I'm pretty sure tons of people would be.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and to go back to what I said about what we're doing with fan centric, it'll be some opportunities for those types of things, and that's a process. It's a phased approach. It has to be some education behind it. Once you bring things to the forefront, and expose people to it, you got to educate them on it. So everybody knows how things work, especially in the DeFi space. It's so many different things that we can do that are exciting, that can grow. The Elks brand. Be it metaverse, digital twin situations where now we have a metaverse version of stadiums and so on and so forth. We got all that. We got all that planned. So, but when it comes down to the fans, it's time for your voices to be heard. The organization has a phone number. They got an email address. You guys know where they are. So I'm just throwing ideas out there. But like I said, it's the same thing with Sam. The fans and the customers can hire and fire and also say who they want in the building. So hey, govern yourselves accordingly. I'm here.
awesome.
love it.
Well, no, this is fantastic. We really hope that you guys get some traction. Obviously, we're thankful that you came on today and talked about
Oh,
this.
yeah, no
Um,
worries.
I believe that there's going to be some pretty good success here. Like you said, right? It's all about just getting that chance and getting that opportunity. So
Mhm,
getting a fair
mhm.
shake, I think everybody should get a fair shake at any opportunity that they
There
want.
you go. That's all we want. I know that's all I want. Because the heavy lifting has been done. And like I said, we've had some conversations with the CFL already. They know we're here, and they know what we're bringing to the table. So if we're looking to go to the next level, in which I want to see the CFL be the leader when it comes down to these leagues, as far as other people, mimicking and other organizations mimicking what the CFL is about. They know we're here. We've had some conversations and we've talked and there's some traction, but there again, like I say, we've built it up to the point to where now it's let's come on, fans, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Well, I'm super excited myself, just to speak for myself, just to see what's going to happen.
The championship weekend this weekend, Garrick. We got to
Yes.
know before
Oh,
you jet
yes.
here. Who's your picks? Who are you going for? Who are you cheering for this weekend?
Man, I'll say Detroit because of the head coach, right?
Yeah.
They believe. They believe, right? It's one of those things. I really got Detroit to win it all, to be honest with you. And now when it comes to KC and the Ravens, it's I say the Ravens, right? Because Lamar's playing ball, man. He's playing ball. And when you got a guy like that, you always got a chance. I know Patrick and those guys, they're a perennial, champs and whatnot. But I think Lamar's in a position to where his teammates are going to play really hard for him. And you're almost going to have to carry him out on his shield. So that's kind of the scenario. And I think that's those scrappy types. But I definitely see Detroit doing some monumental things just because of the level of belief. And these teams, man, they'll hit you in the mouth and wait on to see what your response is going to be. And that's the thing about ball, man. It's I'm going to impose my will. So it really is about who's going to show up because everybody looks good on paper. But I need to see what you're made of. So I'm going to hit you in your mouth and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to wait. And then we're going to see what this thing will be. But to be honest with you, man, I have to look at the first quarter. Once I look at the first quarter, I can tell you what it looks like. But I would say Detroit and Baltimore.
Nice. Okay. Wow. I really appreciate that you're not like one of those. Yeah, I used to play for the team, so that's my favorite team now.
Oh yeah. No. It's all good. No, KC was good to me, man. I hate that I didn't stick longer, but it was the politics in it. I was supposed to be the guy behind Willie Rofe because Willie's from Arkansas. He's about 45 minutes away from me, so we had some really good conversations. And he was like, "Man, you're gonna be the guy." And then the politics came in, and I had to make a move, man. I did too much work, so I wasn't lasting in the waiver wire, man. So I was like, you cut me, I won't be back. So it's one of those things, man.
Damn.
Well, we could keep talking forever,
we
but we
really could.
definitely need to.
We still have a whole like half a show to go
I
through
know.
here.
Absolutely.
Garrick, man, thank you so much for joining us on The More You Didn't Know here. Fantastic hearing your ideas, and we'd love to talk to you again here.
Yeah, let's do it again, man. And like I said, we'll take a deeper dive. I probably am more than likely have you both on a private Zoom so I can really show you how deep the rabbit hole is. But it's only so much I can give right now. But we have a plan. We got a clear and definitive plan to get this thing on track. So we just want the opportunity to show it and from there really be able to have those actionable items and implement it and go from there.
Love it. Definitely open for some more convo on this for sure. So then that means we will see you again soon. So
oh yeah, I'm around, man. I'm not hard to find. I promise you that.
We're just as equally passionate and truly believe in what you're talking about and what you're about, and it resonates with pretty much everything that we tried to bring forth here with our show and
a lot of fans in Edmonton. I mean, it's a passion, right? So
our motto is for fans from fans.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. Yeah, no, anything I can do, to help add value to what you guys are doing, I'm all for it. Like I say, I understand, what you guys are doing and how you're doing it and the passion and the love behind it. And that's what needs to be reciprocated from the organization, period, point blank.
Appreciate it so much, Garrick. Man, this was great. We will definitely have you back on the Elks Call sometime soon, and we hope you have yourself an awesome night. Thank you so much once again for joining. Hey, if do you got any handles or anywhere where anybody can follow you? Or
man, it's easier just to search my name. And I'll pop up. It's always something going on or whatever the deal is. But um, X, I got IG, Commissioner GJ. They can look me up. But this Garrick Jones, NFL, CFL, and everything will pop up. So that's probably your best bet and the easiest way to find what's going on.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, everybody go give him a follow. And once again, thanks again. And we'll chat you soon, Garrick.
All right. Y'all be good, man. Be safe. We'll talk soon.
You as well, bro. Cheers.
All right. Later.
So that was Garrick Jones, former NFL, CFL, and Double E offensive tackle, Double E legend. Great guy. We could have talked forever. Once again, these conversations are great.
So exciting.
Talk Super Bowl, stadiums, and more with former NFL and CFL running back and slotback, Double E, number 33. It's Craig Ellis, ladies and gentlemen. Craig, thanks for joining us today, man.
Scott, it's my pleasure, brother.
Oh, so stoked. We know that you're packing up to head down to the Super Bowl this weekend. How excited are you that it's in the house of the Raiders, aka the team you used to play for?
But they gave them the Las Vegas Rebel dress room. They don't have the top of the line, brother. Trust me.
Well, exactly right. Those Chiefs, like that would be a little bit painful, right? If they're running amok in that dressing room for the Raiders.
Well,
That's rivals.
It'll be what they say is like one thing is to win the game, but to have the other person dress room and then dismantle it afterwards with the shampoo, it couldn't be nothing greater.
Oh man, wild. So excited for this episode. Before we get started, we'd like to thank everyone tuning into the show today, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, or wherever you get your podcast. So cheers to you. Also, be sure to hit like, subscribe.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They scored 124 first.
No.
This is an Oilers watch episode for the 17th in a row. Right now it's 1-1 Edmonton Oilers versus Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes.
Update courtesy of Craig Ellis.
We made the agreement that if something happens in the game, because we unfortunately are not watching, that Craig would just do this timeout sign to tell us if something happened. So
man, this is a fan for the fans here. This guy's wilding. This is amazing. So yeah, guys, also make sure to hit like and subscribe at Shotgun Sports Network. We're on a drive to 500. We're trying to give away an Edmonton Elks jersey. So yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get us in the algo. We're gonna give away a jersey. For our schedule today, which is another stack show, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting the show with the More You Didn't Know, where we're gonna chat with Craig about his life on and off the turf, as well as the upcoming big game in Vegas and his experience as a pro sports alumni member. After that, we're going to give you an Edmonton sports update, and then we'll break down the latest Elks transactions. This free agent frenzy, it's absolutely crazy today. So excited. Kathy's got a herd report for us and a rather big one. So to cap the show, we're going to open up the fan forum, another big segment where we talk about the hot topics surrounding the Elks and the sports world as a whole. So let's get this show started with the More You Didn't Know. In this segment, we will have a conversation with Craig to get to know him better and to ask some questions. If you'd like to ask Craig Ellis a question, throw it in the herd chat, blow it up, and we will get your question onto the show, providing we have time. So let's get into it. Craig, you grew up in LA. You came up through San Diego State University. What made you want to become a football player, and what was your biggest takeaway heading into your pro career?
Well, yeah, I wanted to become not to become a professional football player. I wanted to play on Monday night. Like to me, when I was a kid, when we used to watch Monday Night Football, that was the biggest thing because other teams are watching, all the other coaches are watching, everybody is watching Monday night. And that was my childhood dream, just to play on Monday night. And I got a chance to play 5 times.
Nice.
Perfect.
But making the acclimation from the high school to college, every time, every time someone gives you something, they want something in return. So when I got a scholarship, I thought it was the biggest thing that I ever, but it was different than high school. High school was the love. I loved high school football. Is where young men become men. We bond. A lot of my friends are friends that I played with in high school. Like my president of my nonprofit, Joe Kovacic. He was my captain on my high school team. And actually, he's retiring next week after 39 years of being a fireman in Los Angeles.
Nice.
Every time I call him now, I can get a hold of him.
He's no longer busy all the time.
Especially during COVID. I was so scared for I call him Farm Boy because my senior year, my coach, Coach Wyndham, rest in peace, he loved fishing. So he wouldn't take the onus on getting our team to play in passing tournaments. So I took that upon myself. And Joe, Farm Boy, he used to help me because he had this Chevrolet, and he used to pick up guys for me to make sure they're at the field. And he was a defensive tackle, but he hiked for us because it was a 3.5 minute or 3 seconds to throw the ball. And he used to hike for us, but he had the straw hat and cut off jeans in high school.
What a look.
And that's where he got the nickname Farm Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Got that real hick thing going on. That's perfect.
That's pretty cool. And I mean, after that, past the high school and getting more into the pro career, let's take it back to 1982. You signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And of course, after a few successful years in the CFL, you landed with Miami Dolphins for 1 year and then the Raiders for the next year. So based on that, you kind of went from the CFL to the NFL. What did you enjoy about your NFL experience? How did the CFL help with your NFL game, and which one did you prefer?
Kat, you missed something there. I have to give Doug to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Because they took a chance on me, especially after, hey, who do we got there? Tiger. That's Tiger.
The little Hamilton Tiger Cats fan.
I cannot pass up the 49ers, Kat, because they took a chance on me. I don't know if you guys know this. I was kicked off my college team my junior year because I had dreadlocks.
Really?
That was 1978. They wasn't right. They thought I was a renegade or a rebel, I guess. I don't know. But the coaches, Claude Gilbert, they got fired, and so I was allowed to come back. But then my senior year, we're playing the Mirage Bowl in Japan, and I was kicked off the team again. Never knew for what, because I was in a room with some other players, and none of the other players got kicked off. But at that time, to be kicked off the team 2 years in a row in college, no NFL team wanted to take a chance on you. So that's why I say we can't skip 49ers. Because I think Bill Walsh and Sam Walsh really reinstalled my career by allowing me to compete. And then I have a letter from Bill Walsh that I had framed. And there's probably with his hand signature and the things that he mentioned in that letter gave me more confidence when I went to Winnipeg in '82.
Nice.
But you got to understand, when I was at San Francisco 49, I was competing with, Ronaldo, Nehemiah, Freddie Solomon. There were some receivers there. But every time we went to lunch, there was a guy named Ray Newman. Rest in peace, Ray. Mr. Newman and I would walk to lunch pretty much every time he came to watch practice. And I remember him telling me, I was probably 4 weeks in or maybe 5 weeks in. He said I could come up to Edmonton right now and play because I think it was Wardell Smith broke his wrist or hand or something.
Damn. So you had to take over. You had to take over for the legendary Waddell.
But I couldn't stop, man. I can't walk away from that competition, bro. Come on, man. You know, before I went to 49ers, wherever I went, I took somebody's job. I didn't care who it was because I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to play ball. I love the game of ball. And when I got to the 49ers, there was a lot of talented athletes there. Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright, Dwight Hicks, Keenan Turner. There was a lot of talent on the defense and offensive side. So when I got there, it was a competition, and it was hard for me at the time, which I really adored Ray Newman. I thought he was a soft-spoken person. He had a big heart. And then after I got a chance to know him more, he has been one of the pioneers in bringing a lot of the Americans or the brothers from the United States up to Canada. You know, he's one that brought Warren Moon.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Holloman, Ed Jones. Like, this guy was an unbelievable scout. So when when I refused to walk away from San Francisco, and then when I was finally cut from 49ers, you got to remember that was the first time in my life ever being cut or released.
Wow.
And at that time, I doubted myself. I said, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask is, like, with the 49ers, obviously you go in, you have that mentality of, I'm going to make this team. And I think we know by now, right, how many training camps, how many players, you have jobbers, right?
Yeah.
So whether you were brought in as a jobber or not, that didn't matter to you going in. So then using that to slingshot you to Winnipeg.
Yes.
How'd you do that?
Let me tell you what happened. After I was released, I was stunned. You know what? I felt like when I had my first daughter, Brittany, when I cut that umbilical cord, it's such an high, or you can't explain it.
Right.
You know, actually, after I left the hospital, I got into an accident. I ran in back of somebody because it's just mind blow. So I advise anybody that's having a kid, don't go driving afterwards. But
wise words.
Wise words from a decent man.
But that was something, the way I can explain it now, being released for the first time. And then when I got back to the hotel, the phone, that red light was flashing. And it was a message from Earl Lunsford. And he had this southern drawl that was canny, was very. And it was just like, okay, somebody wants me. And I don't have to go back home and face my people like being a failure or not making it. So instead, and you got to remember, I was in Rockland, California, where it was like 98, 103, 106 degrees. And I didn't want to go back home. So I just flew from San Francisco to Winnipeg.
Nice.
Now we're talking middle of September, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right after Labor Day, probably.
Oh.
When I arrived there, I arrived there the same time James Murphy.
Yeah.
And he's a competitor too. We didn't even talk to each other. So we're competing against each other because at that time, we had the CFL had a 14-day tryout. So within 14 days, they either had to sign you or let you go. And until that time, they paid you a pre-dem, and they put you up in a hotel. So me and Murph is competing. And there was a quarterback. His name was Nicky Hall, I think it was. He was from Tulane. And he can whip that ball. He can spin it. He can really spin it. So me and I always, whenever I got into a place or where I was going to compete or where, I always got close friends with the quarterback.
Hey, that's smart.
Oh,
Smart.
so Craig, let's just throw this down right now then. When you came to Edmonton, then came your years with the double E after you came back from the NFL, right?
That was 89.
So exactly,
Mhm.
right? 1990. Let's talk 1990.
Ooh.
You made it on to
Yeah.
you made it onto the double E record books for second overall for touchdowns in a season with 17, and then fourth overall for pass receptions in a season with 106. So what elevated you to those numbers in 1990?
I tell you, playing with Tracy Ham or playing with Hambone,
Yeah,
he brings the best out you. He
I,
was a competitor. And you know, in the CFL, a team is only going to go as far as the quarterback.
mm-hmm.
And at that time, Hambone, he was very, very athletic. All right. He didn't read defense very well at that time. And a lot of young quarterbacks, when they come up to the CFL,
I was gonna
that
say sounds
fifth defender,
familiar.
yeah, that fifth defender throws things off.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little different to get used to it. I think I watch Hammer become the CFL quarterback after he got hurt in Hamilton and Montreal game. He got hurt his knee, and when he came back, I saw him rely on his reads more than his athleticism. But I found something about Hammer early in his career where whenever he got back there and he started patting the ball, I know he's taking off. I used to board my route or take a peek, right?
Yeah.
And especially when I'm on the backside. So when I see him patting the ball, wherever he's running, I'm running the opposite or away.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always find me. He can throw the ball. He'll put the ball where I can make a play and the defense can, because he didn't like throwing interceptions. I can tell you that. He didn't like interceptions. So he'll put it where I can make a play and the defense can't touch it. And that
You would say you guys had that thing that year, right? You guys had the ultimate chemistry. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Greg.
And a lot of times people would block for Hammer. I wouldn't block for him because if my man went to make a tackle, I'm getting the rock. So why would I go block?
Oh, that's beautiful.
You got to remember the year before, Hammer won that Wickham Trophy.
Right.
He was the most valuable of the Western. So, and honestly, I was nominated a couple times for the most valuable player of my team. Like in Saskatchewan, 84, 85. Hammer was 89, but then 90 my year. So I never knew about that trophy until I won it.
A nice little surprise.
Yeah.
When you look at the names on there, oh wow! And you know it's honor to be a part of that.
Well, and even looking at those records, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a nerd. We have the countdown coming up right away. Craig, you know about the countdown. We asked you for a picture, so yeah, thanks a lot for your hand-fed picture for sure. But for 33 days to go until the preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
But we're coming up on that pretty quickly. I look at the records almost every year. You see the Michael Rileys,
Mm-hmm.
you see the Ricky Rays, you see Craig Ellis on that list, and I've looked out for your name multiple times. So it's really cool to see you up there. But it's also really hard to get on that list because of how many players have been through the double E system. It's the 75th season coming up, and it's a massive one. And I know you, Craig, once again, we talked about it a little bit before we went live, but the tailgate, you're down there, you're celebrating. Kathy, you have a question about that.
Yes, I mean, do I throw me under the bus over here? Yeah,
you're all right.
I'm good. I mean, just bringing it forward to the present day. And I want to take it a little bit kind of away from the football sense. So it's not even so much about the tailgating part. The question that I had, it was more that, you've done so many things since retiring from football. right? We know that you've done some philanthropy and given back to communities such in Edmonton and even ourselves through the CFL History Knowledge on Facebook. So
That's what I'm talking about, that
yes,
knowledge.
yeah, I
But
didn't
he's
see, I didn't see the parallel there. Sorry, but what can you tell us, about your life after football?
Well, when you when you're trying to play on Monday night, you don't really think about what you're gonna do after football.
What you're gonna do after?
But it was great that I had a family because my ex and my daughters absorbed my life. It was going to parent teachers meeting, going to soccer. My two daughters played high level soccer, and my youngest daughter was a very high level ringette player. So I used to I personal train after I finally got into something that I enjoy. I got into salesman. I tried some other things, but when I started personal training, I did for over 24 years. I had clients for over 20 years. The personal training kind of helped me get into the nonprofit because I'm helping others. And I thought in the business world, it was competitive, but heartless. People stab you in the back. All they care about is money.
yeah.
But in the nonprofit world, people care. They got a heart. And I enjoy what I'm doing now. I mentor kids now. I have a kid that I placed two kids that is going to go to my alma mater, Santa Barbara City College, who's from Edmonton. They went to Harry Ainley.
Nice.
Mhm.
And it gives me a chance to spend some time with them and continue working with them. I met this kid, Matthew, when he was 13 out in Spruce Grove. And knowing his family, Penny, and his brothers and sisters, we became, I'm part of the family now. I don't know if you guys know, all my siblings and my family, enemy family, are past. They're done. They're past. I wish someone was around as brother or sister or mom or dad, because I have the time now to spend with them instead of raising my beautiful girls and then finding what I wanted to do or I what made me happy or what I enjoy doing after football, because I love football. But it's a little different. I built houses. I sold steel. I've done all kinds of other things, right? But the personal training was my second love. I was able to help a lot of people, and that's what I'm doing now.
Craig,
Love that.
what I will say as far as like a fan, from a fan point of view here, your involvement on Facebook groups is something to be applauded, because a lot of the knowledge, a lot of the stories, a lot of the people that you touch, um for the positive reasons, obviously it's you're paying it forward in that sense, because how many athletes come through all of these systems and never truly share their story, or when they do, they have to have 50 cameras on them and a couple bags of money to do it. No, for real, right? So and here's the other thing too, because everybody has haters, whatever, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
your choice to go ahead and add me as a friend on Facebook. If you don't like what I'm posting on Facebook, on my private Facebook, that's a you problem, right? But take that out of it, which I recognize, whatever, right? People were chirping my post today about,
I know. I didn't understand that
and I
because
didn't understand it either.
everyone has an opinion, right?
Right.
Everybody does.
Opinions and a-holes, you know the deal.
See, but that's the nice thing, and I think it kind of brings it back to your love for coaching and your love for mentoring and your love for
Helping.
sure, exactly, right? Even
Yeah.
for people that don't hear those stories anywhere else, where else is it going to go? That's why people absolutely love these interviews. That's why fans absolutely love
Totally.
learning more about the players and the organization, because you're just sharing that
Where
knowledge.
where else
you're-
are you gonna get that
Yeah.
other than the Craig Ellis's?
the history books, the double E decade
Sure.
of
I'm just saying, but you know what? Social media could be an excellent tool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think The reason that I'm on it is because I'm in the nonprofit world. I'm going to launch my nonprofit very soon. I have a passing tournament that I'm going to be doing in the summer. It's a 3-week passing tournament, which I built some curriculums off of, where it will help the parents and help the kid and help the coaches, because I pick things that happen to me in my life that we can kind of open the parents' eyes up to the SAT, to the signing date that's in January instead of June, to all these things that they're not aware of, colleges, D1, D2, or even coaches, bringing in, different coaches who won city championships and did these things, because we all can learn off of each other, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, I love that. My little boy, he's turning 9 here right away, and he loves soccer, and he's really good at it. And I'm
Who
trying
does he play for? Who does he play for?
nobody, because I had no idea. I had to spend
What?
so much.
Oh,
I
I love soccer too. Don't get me wrong. I love watching it, but I really love it at the highest level. PSG is my club team, but Brazil is my team, right?
National team, yeah.
But my daughters both played at a high level, and they played with Inter. And there was a guy that my daughter had a chance to play with. Her daughter is Ross Sengaro. He used to play soccer here in Edmonton. He's coached for so many years. And I think his daughter, who was playing with my daughter, I think she's kind of taking it over. There's a lot of clubs. And if you really want the kid to be fit, everyone thinks football or boxing is probably the most athletic or the fit. Soccer is number one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's got to be.
But it's just that I wish that I had some sort of guidance for knowing where to go, what kind of clubs are the best ones, or what kind of information do I need. Like, I don't know when to.
You're a neighborhood cat.
It's the internet. It's called Google. But but it's great. It's great to hear that you're really taking on, that kind of role and giving that to kids. So I love that.
Totally, but can we bring up something that you can Google? We like Craig, we gotta know, because Kathy and I have been talking about this quite a bit today. We've been talking about it for a hot minute. Man, when it comes to alumni, the Edmonton Elks, it's a little bit different than the Las Vegas Raiders experience.
Wow.
Can you tell us the differences between being a CFL and an NFL alumni member?
I have to be polite.
The questions.
Scott, my brother. You can't compare.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Let me tell you about this. Every year, I get invited. Me and guests get invited to the Raiders function for the first preseason game. Last year was against San Francisco. I'm sitting field level, looking at McCaffrey and Debo. I'm looking at these young guys, and I'm like, wow, these guys are big. But the Raiders bring it in. They give us food. They take us to the game. They take us to, and just to see Merv, Dave Williams, Jim Plunkett, all the guys that I played with, like Hendricks, all the guys that you played with, just to sit there and have a cigar and have a drink. You don't get. It doesn't get better than that, bro.
Feel level, baby. Well, and I'm watching, right? Like a fan side of you, sitting on my couch here in Edmonton, scrolling through my Facebook. I look and there's Craig Ellis, like load seats basically for the Edmonton Elks. Load seats.
Right.
Las Vegas Raiders. Mark Davis and the boys. He's got the alumni room. He's pointing at the square with his name on it. So they treat you like gold over there. And Allegiant Stadium. How freaking nice is that building? This is something we really wanted to ask you, Craig.
But Scott, you know what though? I don't know where the Eskimos lost their tradition, because when I got here in '82, it wasn't that big like what down there, but there's tradition here. I mean, we went to this place called Pines, a bungalow, with our wives or our girls, and we fished right before training camp. We sit around campfire. We had a couple cuts, and then we go to work.
Right.
You know, they don't do that anymore. You know, especially the kids now. And like Scott, I don't like talking about others, but what I see now is just like people, the players are more interested in getting back to the crib or instead of sticking around and hanging.
Do we just ask it now? Like Craig, what is bone to you then? Brotherhood of nasty Eskimos.
It's a good
bone.
segue for
we
that.
We just gotta whip it in there real quick.
You know what, bone to me, I don't. Bone to me is like what they used to say back in the 80s when I first got it with Ed Jones and Ed Jones and Emilio, Highball, and all the boys. And they always said, once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo. But then the bone came later on.
Nice.
So back then, we really did, like me, Highball, Ed Jones, Joe Hall. Like we used to go to high schools and play against basketball. We play against high school basketball. We used to play against volleyball. We used to Grand Prairie, you know, things like that with the players. But that will get us into the community. Like Grand Prairie, I'd never been to Grand Prairie unless I was going to play hockey or playing basketball. That was the only time I ever been to Grand Prairie. But I never would have been there if we didn't have these traditions that we used to have on the off season, and that help a person or help a team to become like brothers, to come together.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
Oh, and they like right now they have been doing some of that. I will say I haven't seen much of that in the last 2 years. I'll say it. Haven't seen much of that. Under the Eskimos name, right down to the bitter end, they were going up to
the drive to Grand Prairie or Fort McMurray with Highball and Emilio Frietta and Highball, bruh, your stomach is falling out. You're falling out because it's hilarious. Those two used to make you laugh. I mean, the trips were fun. And, you know, you sit there we go Friday, Saturday, and we come back Sunday. It'd be like, wow. So when you start training camp, it's almost like that's my brother.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah, and I guess we don't hear much about that. I mean, I guess you would see it a lot more back then, especially if it was so prevalent and, you know, they really took the time to get the players together and do all of these things. Right now, like, we don't have visibility into that at all, I guess, fans.
Most of the players, like I was saying, Kat, most of the players now are getting out of here. Soon the season's over here, and poof, they're gone.
Yeah.
But we, like, Highball, Joel, Ed Jones, myself, we all stayed over. We stayed better because I'm a miser. I took my money across the border in '82 the first time, and I thought I had this much, and they said it was only this much. I said, wait a minute, where's my money? And that's what that currency had changed. So in '82, I figured it out. Okay, all right. If I'm making Canadian money, I'm living in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, my soul, right?
Yeah.
In the herd chat, real quick, Shabazz, what up, Bone? Throwing a little bone in the herd chat. Curtis said, "My brother from another mother." So people are pretty stoked that you were on the show today and talking these stories. So yeah, thanks a ton, Craig.
We have a couple of questions before we asked our last question.
Yeah.
Of the
bone one.
You get as many as you want. Go, Kat. You get as many as you want. I'm limiting Scott because you know he's been throwing us under the bus. So we're okay.
Now it's my turn. But before I go there, I just want to bring a couple of questions that we have here from our fans over here at the chat. We have from John. Craig Ellis, what do you think of the NFL going to Brazil with Philadelphia Eagles on September 6th?
I love it. I love the expansion possibilities. And, you know, I think that's what the CFL is trying to do to get into the Nova Scotia in that area or Halifax somewhere. I think they're expanding somewhere. You know what? I don't understand because of the USFL and the XFL and all those other things. Why not tap back down in the States like they did before? Like the Sacramento. Remember we had the Sacramento, we had the Louisiana, all those things.
Straight
There's
for
Yeah,
there's some places that I think the CFL can help grow because I understand you want to keep the Canadian game in its history, but I really think adding some American teams where they don't have a professional team, and it'll be no different than like Regina.
Yeah.
I mean, those fans I think they're the best fans in the CFL.
Oh, that's a
No,
challenge for us.
riders, like even Snoop Dogg has worn a
Right.
Riders jersey,
Yes.
right? It's
No, I love the idea of expansion. I've even heard, I'm from Mexico, and I actually know quite a few people that watch the CFL down in
Yeah.
Mexico. So even, bringing in expansion games and
yeah.
just increasing the visibility of the game to other countries, that would be fantastic.
No,
So,
it
cool.
would be now. What's interesting about this too is that the CFL expansion into the States survived 2 years and then died. Basically 1 year, but 2 years, right? It survived 2 years and then died. Now what's interesting about this is when it's mentioned, everybody scoffs at it. There has been multiple mentions of reviving this idea, and it's kind of gaining momentum, which is just absolutely.
I think it's perfect for right now with all the networks and cables and pay TV and everything.
Yeah,
right?
streaming
I
services.
mean, it's there, and I think marketing and promoting is probably the biggest thing because I've been I'm putting together this 3-week passing tournament, and actually, it's taken me 4 years to put this together.
Right.
You know, the hardest part was getting 16 teams to buy in, and when you're dealing with high school coaches, they all got personality, especially when you're talking to Bishop Gorman or Warren or these guys that's competitive out there. I mean, they think their shit don't stink, and I kind of like saying, "Bro, you in high school?" Well, I let it go. I need them, right? So you got to be nice. But that was the hardest part, and I think when you say 2 years it was over, to me, I think the marketing and promoting didn't go long enough.
Right.
Yeah.
If you sell that, it's easy to sell. And Scott, I have some ideals for the CFL where I would really love to tie the CFL alumni and the NFL alumni. I would love to have a tournament in Toronto and Vancouver, but at the same time in Washington, D.C. and Florida, somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go back and forth, with the players.
Well, Craig, and
Fun.
like your idea is so on point because on our end of things, we like I've taken this under my wing, but where there's a pro football fan hall of fame or something, or a pro football fans whatever, like a big group, and they have it down for NFL fans, but they call it pro football. And I specifically messaged them and said, hey, like, you guys want to include like CFL fans too? Because we're also pro football fans. It's not like we're not pro football fans. We just cheer the same type of football, Canadian versus American, but we're still pro football fans. And the CFL is the second league and will always be the second league to the NFL.
Yeah. Different. You know what, Scott? All right. You see, I've never done this because it's still 1-1, and we're 12:32 into the second. All right, so we're still good. But Scott, let me tell you about NFL fans and CFL fans. They're different.
Okay, Giver, no, please indulge.
NFL fans will fight you. The CFL fans will argue, but they'll love you.
We'll say sorry. We'll say sorry, right? Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little different. It's a little different when you're getting beat down after you argue with a guy over a game, and the other guy said, no. All right, let's go have a beer or come over to my house for a drink. All right, that's how it goes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the fan part is never going to happen.
Yeah.
But the alumni, the alumni part can, because we can raise money for mental mental health. Like we can do a lot of things with the CFL and NFL because Canadians down in the NFL. There's Americans, so we could still raise money for different entities.
Oh, people would pay to see that.
Well,
Can you imagine having a Flutie,
Warren Moon, get Warren Moon in there.
Guys that played in both leagues.
Yep.
In the golf tournament. We can do a lot, and so those are some possibilities.
Definitely.
Yep.
That'd be so much fun, and people would definitely buy into
People
that.
would pay. I will tell you right now, if you guys did even, let's say, a 4-city tour in Canada, and let's
I'm gonna do something with mental health, and we're gonna do it to correspond with the Labor Day games.
Right.
Love
We're
it.
gonna do one in Regina, we're gonna do one in Calgary, and we're gonna do one in Hamilton. But I'm gonna conjunction with the mental health.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring I gotta wait till I get in the Hall of Fame, but I'm gonna bring Hall of Fame players in to play a tournament and raise money for the mental health, because that's something that I play dear to. I don't know if you know, my oldest daughter is bipolar, but when we got her the right meds and everything, her life is just as simple as possible. And that's the whole idea. We spent a little money. We sent her to a place in Washington where they did this brain imaging. But once we got the scan from the brain imaging, when you give that to the psychiatrist and the doctor, they know where to start with the medication. So, but not everybody can afford that kind of money to do it. But we have the machines here in Canada, but we're only doing them for research purposes. We need to do that to our kids.
Yes.
I'm going to bring awareness to this because of something I went through with my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be lovely. I think a lot of people would buy into that, and hopefully it happens, because that would be so much fun. That would be so much fun to watch.
Totally. No,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Trust me. I'm just waiting for the time. I got to get in the Hall of Fame first, but it's going to happen.
Hey man, once it doesn't, even if it doesn't, right? Even if you making it into the Hall of Fame doesn't happen, still let us know when you're popping this up, because we will definitely share up whatever we can and support however we can. Now, we do have a herd chat question here. Our good friend Chris Agar is asking, can you put your finger on the single reason or reasons why the Double E has stopped doing the public appearances like they used to? Exposure isn't nearly as bright as it once was.
Honestly, and I'm going to give you my opinion. And that's just an opinion, just like Elbow and that. Everyone has them, right? Mm-hmm. The Eskimos have no leadership or in the
organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
We lost Hugh Campbell because he learned off of Norm Kimball. Norm Kimball was the best. Wow. He was the best. I mean, I think Norm Kimball started all that. You don't realize he was a tough cookie, but he believed in his players. He believed in his coaches. He believed in, the community. He believed in all that. And I think what they got in place when they put John Healy forward and at the president, and like everybody was community oriented.
Right.
I think now when we have guys like Tom Richards and Alan Watts, these guys are all self-sufficient. It's all about them. We got to get out of those type of guys. We got to get the. I lobbied so much to bring Brian Kelly in. I just think Brian Kelly would be an awesome direction to establish the traditions, because he was here with all the traditions.
Yep.
He worked with Healy Ford. Him and Healy were best friends.
Well, and he embodied both as well, right?
So I don't know. To me, where they at right now is they got too many Indians and not one chief.
Well, and to like kind of speak on that a bit, right? Like that's why I think what happened was they realized that nobody was truly wanting to take the organization under their wing and to actually like right the ship, to actually commandeer the ship, to be in the building every day and make that your job. And I mean, we've seen presidents come and go. Where in the last couple years between GM and president and some of the higher up roles, we've seen a revolving door. And now we're at
the lawlership is back, and I thought it was
good. That's a good
thing. Yeah, because it gives you stability. That's one thing that gives you stability. all right, because he's been there before. He knows the hiccups, and but he has different characters now that he's dealing with.
Yeah. Now, what about, have you seen Garrick Jones's pitch? I got to ask about this. Garrick Jones's pitch. Have you seen that? Have you talked
No,
to
I haven't.
So, our last episode, we talked to Garrick Jones, and then, he's put out a petition and everything else. And all of that media is available on social media for everybody to go grab. We aren't in a position to ask anybody to sway anyway or anything like that. We're just observers to everything that's happening. But Garrick Jones has brought together an athletic ownership group. What do you think of a group of athletes with business minds and entrepreneurial minds? What do you think of them trying to grab ownership of the Edmonton Elks?
I don't think we want to get away from being a community-owned team. I don't think we want to get away from it. But I just think what we need to do is we have to reestablish what gave the Eskimos their identity. We got away. We got away from it. We got away from it. That's my opinion. Like, you know what? People are going to sit there and call me a clown and do all this other stuff because I give an opinion. But we all give our opinion. We don't know. I don't know what's wrong or right. I'm not involved in that.
Yeah, that's fair. Tons of really good opinions. Okay. For the last question that we have here for you, so that we can give you your night back. Super Bowl this weekend. Chiefs and 49ers. Who do you got? Who do you think?
All right. You get me in trouble on this one because I want some favors from the Niners, all right? Because I played with them. I got a couple of friends. But when my thing now, when I watch the CFL or the NFL, I watch the offense, and the offense that's teams are running now, the spread offense. It's so different than what I ran with the power eye and the split back. So I vision myself, okay, how do I fit into this type offense, right? So I really love the guys that spins the ball like Mahomes, Tahua, the guy from Buffalo, the guy from Tennessee. I just love all that stuff, right? I love it, and I love what they do, and I love the offensive plays. There's things that I didn't do. We ran a spread, but the spread was we still had two bad guys in the backfield, and we didn't do the check downs and all the things that they do. I enjoy it. I love the game. Because I'm an offensive player and I love the game. All right. But when you think about San Francisco and the team that I play with coming out of thing and whatever they do, my heart is there. But I really love Brady. I did. I love Tom Brady. Love what he did in that spread offense. I mean, just his check downs, and he always had the go-to receiver. And Edelman or the other guy, he always had a go-to receiver. And I think my position was the go-to guy, the third guy in, or the slot back.
You and Tracy Ham.
Same thing, but this guy didn't have to run. This guy sat back there, and it was the coverages dictate where the ball goes. All right, so it's a little different, right? So when I look at Mahomes, out of all the quarterbacks that has the opportunity, there's good ones. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's good ones. There's Hurts. There's the guy from Buffalo. There's lots of good quarterbacks. But Mahomes has 2 championships already.
Pedigree.
Yeah, and he's been there a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he's 28. He can play till he's 39. That's what Tom did, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he can get 3 championships, I think he's the only person that can
supersede.
Potentially
over Tom Brady. And so then that's history. That's history. We watching history.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would agree. I mean, Patrick Mahomes killing it. I do believe they're gonna get Dynasty this weekend.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Dynasty this
I
weekend.
just want Taylor Swift boyfriend to win.
Wow, yeah.
You know what, though? Hey, he's legit. He's legit. I know he's legit. You know, everyone talk about Gronk. Remember Gronk?
Travis
Remember Gronk? Remember Gronk? Gronk just didn't have Taylor Swift. He should have got him a girl when he was playing.
I love it. No, that's just the big joke that you see around nowadays.
Karma is the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl this week.
There you go.
Craig, man, this was so much fun. We can't thank you so much for joining our show today. That's all we have for today. But man, we'll chat you again soon. We'll definitely be sure to have you on
the photos from the Super Bowl soon.
Yes, and where can we find you before we leave? Where can we find you?
Yeah.
What are your social tags?
You got my number, Scott. You know how to get a hold of me. I always answer your calls. You know that. And Kat, you got same credentials. Anytime, Kat.
Perfect.
Bless.
Thank you so much,
brother. Thank you so much, Craig. Once again, man. Yeah, we'll definitely get at you. And dude, safe travels down to Las Vegas. Have fun down there, and yeah, definitely don't lose your passport like I do all the time, man.
Keep it safe. Have a great night. Take care.
Cheers, brother. Thank you so much. Well, that was Craig Ellis, a former NFL and CFL running back, slot back. Awesome guest. Once again, could have talked to this guy all night. And today on our show, we are joined by former AFL, NFL Europe, and CFL wide receiver and current EE alumni member, the Scott Cloman. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me. You guys got a beautiful setup here, man. I'm excited to talk some football with you guys.
Oh, man, no, thank you. Really appreciate it. This time of year, it's spring. I'm sure this time of year brings back some fond memories for you, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's you know, when I first retired, the first few years, it was, you know, I really get the itch. And, but it's calmed down over the years. But I still play flag football and touch football. So I actually have a touch football tournament this weekend in Kelowna, and it's funny that the team we play first, Shy Ross is playing for them.
No way.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and it's funny too. So I was looking up your stats today, and I see you in all of the Edmonton touch football categories. You have stats here in Edmonton for touch football. So I was actually going to ask you about that. That's really cool that you know, you're still out there doing the thing.
Yeah. It's touch football is kind of equivalent to flag football in the U.S. It's bigger here, and you run across, you know, and when we go to nationals, there's a team in Ottawa. I don't know if you remember Brandon Stewart played for Winnipeg, and he played for BC as well. So Matt Dominguez plays for a team in Saskatchewan. So there's quite a few ex-professional athletes that play at the top flight level. So it's keeps the juices going, keeps you in shape. You know, it's fun.
Well, I'm pretty sure we both have talked about maybe perhaps joining a league. You know?
Yeah.
Because it looks fun and it looks safe.
Well, and then the other thing too is with the Olympics coming up, right? We have the Olympics coming up in 2028. I believe, right? 2028 Olympics, and that they're going to have flag football as an Olympic sport. So you're seeing more athletes, more football players getting a little bit stoked about flag football. And, you know, this is actually something we've talked about on a past episode with Reed Clark, where, you know, flag football and getting it going at the grassroots level, it adds that interest, especially now with it being an Olympic sport. You get a bit of a snowball effect, and then of course to see people like you in touch and you know, something similar as well. Don't always have to have the pads on to have some fun playing football, right? So
yeah, no, for sure. I think at this point, if I put on pads, I got to get paid.
Well, we got a question for you in the more you didn't know. So before we dig into this show, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching on our YouTube, which is Shotgun Sports Network, or on Facebook, or on X, our X people. We get quite a few live viewers on X as well, so shout out to you. Also, if you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, anywhere else you get your podcasts, we salute you. While we're here, if you could please hit the like, subscribe, and favorite button, we would greatly appreciate it. We're still trying to give away a beautiful double E signature jersey at 500 followers. So, yeah, guys, hit the subscribe. For today's lineup, it's another stacked show. We're going to open up with the More You Didn't Know with Scott Cloman, where we have a discussion and talk about various topics. Then we'll dig into Kathy's Herd Report, talking about the latest Edmonton Elks transactions and news. Following that, we're going to give you an Edmonton sports update, and then we're going to cap the show with the Fan Forum, where we discuss hot topics surrounding the Elks, the CFL, and the sports world as a whole. Be sure to blow up the Herd chat, guys, especially for this segment. If you have any questions, we want to get them onto the show. So let's kick this off with the More You Didn't Know. This segment's going to be brought to you by the Winnipeg Terminal. Catch the flight with Mike and Joe every week, talking all things Jets and Bombers on Shotgun Sports Network. Wheels up. All right, so let's chat with Scott Cloman about a number of things, including his roots in football, his time playing pro football, and his life after the game. So once again, guys, if you have any questions, please, or any comments, throw them into the Herd chat, and we will get them onto the show. Let's get this going. So, Scott, we know you as a pro of multiple countries and leagues, but your football life started in Compton, California.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell us how you became interested in playing football growing up.
Well, my brother is 5.5 years older than I am. So of course you always want to, follow after your big brother. And so we were a sports family. My dad played college basketball and baseball. And so, of course they put us in every sport: football, baseball, basketball, and track. And so, my brother played, and I wanted to play. And, you start off, playing in the streets, and we would take a little sock, and that was your flag. But if you were running down the sideline, you have the grass on the sidewalk. So if you're running by that grass, you're getting hit. And sometimes that didn't end too well. But you know what? It really built some calluses and toughened you up. And I just remember I couldn't wait to be old enough to put on the pads. When I was coming up, it was 8 years old before you can actually play. And it felt like it was just forever because I wanted to play so bad, and I just wanted to hit people. I was very, very violent as a kid. And I just loved football. Always did. Just that feeling, before the game, there's nothing like it. And so, that's where it started for me. It was an organization called Greater Compton Youth Football, and then on from there to Dominguez High School. We're in a good program, and the cool thing was, it was at the same, my little league program was at the same high school, Dominguez High School, which I attended. And so we all came up together, right? And then we got to play. So, and it was just, I really got used to winning. And I really now, as I'm older, appreciate coming up and you getting used to winning. You just don't accept losing, right? And so, from there, end up going to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then when I first got there, had to sit out my first year. When I was coming out, if there were some, grade issues or test results or whatever, it was Prop 48, so I had to sit out. I actually played quarterback in high school, actually from 12 to high school. And then I went to college as a quarterback. And then my junior year, when I kind of decided I was like, I may want to try to play professional football. And I was like, so I figured receiver would be my best shot, make the transition. And the thing is, my story is pretty unique, is because I switched over. So I didn't really play my junior year much. And then I started my senior year in the slot. And I only had probably like 15 catches. Like I had I think 2 touchdowns. So I didn't really do anything, but what gave me confidence was, in the summers we would go over to LSU, which is in the same city, And I would, as I, that summer when I, really started to get the hang of playing receiver, I would do really well against their defensive backs. And I see these guys getting drafted. And so I was like, so yeah, man, I really put in a lot of work to develop. And what really drove me to play was just, on a professional level, I just wasn't, I knew I wasn't finished. I wanted to see the end product, because I saw the growth I made in such a short time. I really wanted to see what I can blossom to. And I got my first crack at, playing arena football in Des Moines, Iowa. John Gregory, rest in peace. He coached here in the CFL. So he's the one who gave me my first contract, man. So that's how it all started for me.
Well, and before that, you were drafted in 2000 to the XFL, right?
Yeah. So I went to in 2000 I went to Iowa Barnstormers, and then what happened was I signed with the I played a season. Sorry, 99. That's when I came out. 99.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Played a season, and funny, a guy that was in training camp with us by the name of Rashawn Jackson. He had played a few years in the NFL. He was a fullback from the University of Nebraska. He signed with the Chiefs, and while he's signing his contract, the scout was kind of just asking him about arena football, just small talk. Say, you guys got any good players out there, blah, blah, and he told him about me. So that scout who he was talking to is now John Snyder, the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. And so the guy called me. He told me to reach out to this scout. I did, sent him some film. Nothing transpired, played the season. And that spring, that January, my agent called me up and was like, hey, you want to go down to the Senior Bowl with me? We're going to go down there and network a little bit and whatnot. And, just so happened I never stopped training. As soon as I came home, I set out, maybe kind of chilled out for a weekend. A good buddy of mine by the name of Derek Stingley, his son actually plays for the Houston Texans now, Derek Stingley Jr. He was the number 3 pick of the draft a couple years ago. So that was my training partner. And so we started training together because he had a workout with the Jets. And he was playing arena football. He's the one kind of introduced me to arena football. And then and so I called up John Snyder and said, hey, man, I'm coming down to the Senior Bowl. I don't know if you're going to be there. I just want to meet you. And he's like, if you're going to come down here, I want to work you out. So I always tell young athletes, I say, man, if you have aspirations to, doing whatever, be prepared, because you never know when the opportunity was. Because my season didn't start till, I think end of May. I'm sorry, end of April. Okay. So it was January. So that's when you just start training. Whereas I came home in August, like around August or so, September. And, here again, once me and Sting started training, and we just kept going. He had signed with the Jets he was there for a month or so. Then they released him. He came back and we kept training. So I was ready. So I had a really great workout, and I didn't think they were going to sign me though. You know what I mean? Honestly, I did. I was thinking like I'm going to work out for them, and then they'll keep an eye out on me because I was going to be the guy. And they called me, man, about 4 days later. And that was back when, we really didn't have cell phones. So they had an answer machine. And how we were bad at checking messages. I saw it blinking one day and I was like, oh, let me check my messages. And man, they had called like 5 times. Like every day they were calling me.
Wild.
Oh.
Yep. And then when I got the voicemail, I was like, I know they're not about to sign me. And I was just, I never forget that, man. I called them back, and they told me they wanted to sign me. I was like, oh wow, yeah, I was shocked. I was floored.
That's really cool.
Yeah, cool
like
story.
I do have a side question though, because I'm really curious. Seeing that you played both quarterback and receiver position, which one is your favorite?
Wide receiver. Quarterback is, you know what? That's why I am very slow to criticize quarterback. This is a very difficult position. When I played, I didn't look at it as being difficult, but that was on the high school level, right? And then college too, it's not that bad. When you get on a professional level, it's like, there's so much, especially in the NFL. I mean, you have to know what everyone's, everyone's doing. And I think, just not to get off topic, there is a big discussion right now going on about NBA players can play in the NFL and blah, blah, they were doing that. And a good friend of mine, he's actually coming in town Friday, Jackie Mitchell. He played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 7 years. And we played together in college. And he played he played on our college team, basketball. So I called him when I heard, and I said, hey, I just want to get his take on it. And we kind of came to the same conclusion. The thing is, people don't realize that football is a fact, is the most, I would say, mental wise, the most difficult sport. 100%. People don't realize the preparation that goes into it from the mental aspects. I've seen so many talented players that can't cut it because they can't pick it up. You have to be smart. You can't be you can't lack knowledge, or you can't, I guess in layman's terms, you can't be a dummy. I tell you that.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good perspective, right? Especially for people, normies over here that have never played the sport and are really quick to judge a lot of quarterbacks. It's a good perspective and something to definitely remember.
Well, and I mean, especially, right? So you went such a different route. I mean, you went AFL. And then like the XFL draft, like the XFL, like that piece is just another smaller piece, and then there's NFL, and then there's NFL Europe as well, right? And then where else did he play?
With the Edmonton Eskimos, of course, the CFL. Please, it's like you're quizzing me. So, with all of that, your career is super special because you really got the chance to participate in all these professional leagues. Which league would you say that is your favorite?
My favorite, this question comes up quite often, and my favorite was the XFL.
Nice.
Really? Why is that?
I think, well, a number of reasons. It was funny. I just talked to my offensive coordinator, Mike Kelly, about 3-4 days ago. He was a head coach for the Bombers. He was a receiver coach here. So Mike Kelly was my offensive coordinator in XFL. And I think, so first of all, was the pay scale. I think in the NFL, I was making I think maybe like 350,000. And then your second year go up to like 600. Whereas, you're sitting next to another guy who's making 20 million a year. Right. And so it's like, it's a different playing field. He's going to get special treatment. It is what it is. Right. The XFL was $4,500 a week. Everybody made the same money, except the quarterbacks made $1,000 more. Kickers made $1,000 less. So there were kickers with 3,500. Quarterbacks were 5,500. But if you won, you got a $2,600 win bonus. So, and we had a good team. I think we went 8-2. And so, that perspective where it was just more of a brotherhood, I felt, and a lifelong bond just because of that. And then the other thing it was special to me because there were so many connections that were created. So I'll start off by here again. My receiver coach, a guy named Mike Jones, he played in the NFL for 7 years. After that season, I went back to arena football, played in New York, and then I signed with the San Francisco 49ers. He calls me and was like, hey, I just got the offensive coordinator job for the Ryan Fire. I want you to enter your name to the draft. So to get to NFL Europe, you had to either currently be with the NFL team, or if you were with one before, you can get drafted as a free agent. I just signed with the 49ers. So he calls me. I asked my agent to give him a call and ask him, could I play? Of course, because they get a chance to watch me play live every week, right? So, so there's that opportunity. And then you look at, so now you go to, you fast forward, my roommate on the road was a guy named Louis Riddick, who works for ESPN now, right? He was, at the time when I was playing XFL, I think I was like 23. He was like 34. He was at the end of his career. And so he's the reason why I went to Washington. right? So he was a scout for the Redskins at the time, which is now the Commanders. He told them about me, and they brought me in for a workout, and I ended up being there for a couple years, right? And Mike Kelly was a scout on that same staff as well, right? So you see where you're going with just the connections. And then this, actually, I just forgot about this, taking a step further. After I was here for a year and a half, and then I went to Winnipeg. And so I'm in my option year, and I'm at home training, and a guy named Les Moss gives me a call. He was at the time he was the tight ends coach of my XFL team. He tells Jay Gruden. So Jay Gruden is John Gruden's little brother. He was our head coach for our Orlando Predators arena football. He calls me, says, "Hey man, we just lost our starting X receiver to free agency, and I was telling Jay about you. He wants to bring you in, take a look at you." And so end up playing there a couple of years, right? And so you just have those, there were a lot of connections created, and just had a great time. And we were in Orlando, Florida, with no state tax.
With no state tax.
Well, speaking of the Rainfire, though, have you been keeping up with the European League of Football, which features the revival of the Rainfire?
You know what? A little bit. I'll take a look at it on social media, not in depth.
Yeah.
But no, I think the NFL, what they were doing was they were testing the waters internationally. We would have 50,000 pretty much at every game. I mean, our rival was Frankfurt. I remember that game, it was 77,000 in there. I'm telling you, it's cranked in there. And so, I mean, we were like, some guys don't want to come home. Right? You go over there, man. We were like celebrities over there. And so it was, and so now you just saw today, they're playing a game in Brazil. How cool is that?
Packers.
That is really cool.
Go Pack. I mean, but no, I mean, NFL Europe seemed like a wild time. I'm sure you get questions about it a lot, but especially with what you've just described, you guys are celebrities over there. You guys are huge, right? So
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole idea of bringing the NFL or just football internationally is, I mean, that's super cool. I mean, it's an available sport, right? You don't necessarily need, of course, you need equipment, but even if you think about flag football and the way that the Olympics are doing it, really, there's a lot of countries that should be part of that, and why not make it into an international sport? So I'm really glad that they're doing a revival. That might be something to keep up with.
Yeah, like they got Berlin Thunder, they got they got some new teams like Vienna Vikings, which have the same color schemes as the Minnesota Vikings. So I mean, yeah, ELF seems pretty sweet. I have a hard time paying for extra streams and doing all of that, but I have been somewhat keeping tabs. But yeah, no. So getting right back to it, we know you best as a member of the W Alumni, Kathy and I. That's how we know you best. Didn't quite get to watch you, in our younger years, but many fans did. Many fans here in Edmonton did, during your time with the then Eskimos. So, tell us about your time with the Double E, Scott.
I was I'm trying to think of our head coach at the time. Tom Higgins. I can't believe I couldn't remember. But anyway. I first met him at the Senior Bowl. Actually, I was there. I think that was that same year I signed with Kansas City. I was introduced to him. No, I take it back. It was after that, because he had saw me with Kansas City, and he put me on their neg list. And he was like, yeah, and that's when I was introduced to him, and he was like, yeah, I know you are. I really love what you did in Kansas City, blah, blah, blah. He said, if you ever come, north of the border, you're coming to us, blah, blah. And so I was, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm never coming to Canada, whatever. And, lo and behold, about, 4 years later or so, you know what? One of the things I said about Tommy, because he was a man of his word, right? And came up here, got treated well, had an excellent receiver coach in Dan McKinnon. Spent a lot of time with me outside of, after hours, getting me ready and prepared. And my first time playing, it was against Hamilton. Ed Hervey had went down, And so I was ready to go. I mean, and so it was a very professional organization, great coaching staff, a lot of great players. It was first class, and I didn't realize how historical the franchise was until we were having a team meeting, and Ed Hervey had mentioned, we had been to the playoffs. Well, the Eskimos had been to playoffs, I think like 36 straight years, and I was like, what? Because I knew nothing about the CFL at all. So I was just like, whoa, that's huge, well, I knew, and I know I'm kind of going off track. It's funny, when I was in Kansas City in 2000, that was Warren Moon's last year playing. His locker was right next, and he would talk about Edmonton sometime and talk about how great it was. And I did, my cousin played up here before I did, Fred Bailey. And so he played in Calgary here, Saskatchewan. So he would talk about it, but I never really paid attention. It was like, I didn't ever think I was coming up here. And it was like Edmonton was definitely a first class organization. I enjoyed it.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's what you want to hear, of the city that you live in and you reside in.
Well, especially Warren Moon. You kind of want Warren Moon talking up the city.
Totally. That's so cool that he thought Edmonton was a good time.
He thought of us.
But now, present day, we see you down at Commonwealth, engaging with fans, being a grade EE community member. So how has life been after football, and how has your relationship been with the Elks in the recent years?
Yeah, it's been good. How I ended up coming back here, I came to visit my cousin and then ended up getting married. And so that's how that happened. Not married anymore. So thank God. Yeah, that's how that happened. My daughter's here though. She's 13. So of course I stay in. And so, I would just come to the games, and then I started getting invited to do some camps or whatnot. And, I really, really love doing that, and start, doing stuff with kids at various camps with some of the current players. And, over the recent years, started doing more and more. I'm actually, coaching a Pee Wee league, Pee Wee team in Sherwood Park now. I don't know how I got talked into doing it. But but 10, it's fun though. 10 and 11-year-olds. Actually,
is that Sherwood Park Rams?
No, this is a new flag league.
Flag. Okay.
Flag league that they have here. Actually, I just did a camp as well with the Sherwood Park Wolverines, and Jason Moss kid was with them. I was coaching him. Yeah. So he's a good athlete. He's only like 11 or 12. I'm like, but gee, he's different.
Taking after that.
Yeah. No, he's a better athlete than his dad. I'm telling you. Oh, seriously, you can tell. So yeah, he's I'm looking forward to seeing him blossom. But yeah, and so like I said, now just like I said, just doing more and more, being more involved with the alumni events, and it's been exciting. The pretty cool thing, as I wrap that question up, this year, we train in Commonwealth in the indoor facility. Me and my touch football guys, and we were working out, and at the same time the Elks were working out, and so I was, and my quarterback, they didn't have anybody to throw to, so Gavin, number 85, Darrell Walker came out there. When he came back in town. Niles Morgan, he's a great player. Let me tell you. And so that was a cool thing. So I got to work out with these guys for about 2 months, and go up against these guys. Their DB Marlowe, I think he wears number 32, I believe, or 20. Yeah. So that was pretty cool to really test myself. See where I'm at.
Were you doing some friendly competition?
We would do we would do drills, and then we'd do one-on-ones, And so it was it's definitely cool too. I feel more invested now. Like I'm excited to watch them, because I've been working out with these guys for the last 2-3 months, and so I was just thoroughly impressed with these guys. Though I mean, I'm really excited to see this receiving core. I'm telling you, these guys they have a really good receiving core. They have a really good. They have some really good defensive backs. Very athletic defensive line, and the linebackers. Niles is the best in the league for sure. I mean, this guy, like he should be in the NFL. Like, I mean, seriously. And so I'm excited to watch him play. And like I said, I'm excited, to get the chance to, me as a 47-year-old old vet, to get out there and move around with these 24, 25-year-olds.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we had this conversation right before we came in the podcast, and we're explaining to our sons who we're going to have in the podcast. And Scout is like, yeah, we have a 47-year-old that looks like he could still play right now. and then there's us.
Well, no, I mean, we even have it in a question here. Like, would you pull a Milt Stiegel on day one of training?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, you know what? That would be fun. I absolutely would. And I would go out there and compete well. I just did it. I asked some footage too. I'm not gonna show it. I don't want to make any of their defensive backs look bad. So yeah, no, I mean the key too for me is not to stop. I'm not gonna sit up here and say, I feel the same as I did when I was 25. That's not the case. But I do feel really good, and I continue to put in a lot of work into my body and what I eat, and I run. I'm running track for the first time this year. I ran in a couple of track meets, or in the indoor meet. So my first outdoor meet's on the 30th. So sprints. Now I don't do long distance.
No.
Yeah, 100 and 200. And then so I just keep moving. I think that's the key, right? Keep moving, and nutrition. Nutrition is probably the biggest one for sure.
Well, and we see you on social media promoting a healthy lifestyle, right? And you have a passion for staying in shape. So, like, was this a habit that you wanted to just continue after football, or has this been something that you're always been passionate about? Is this something that's been with you all your life?
I think the reason why I got so passionate about it because I've seen the difference it made in my career and in the way I felt, the way I played. I was, when I came out of college, I was around 185, skinny, 6'3", like super skinny. And I would wonder why, as much as hard as I trained, I would always, like in the fourth quarter, I would be, tired, like, dang, man, And when I went, fast forward, long story short, 2002, when I go to San Francisco with the 49ers, I come back from NFL Europe. I go into training camp. I weighed in. I'm 190, and I see Terrell Owens gets on the scale. He's 230. He's like, and I'm like, God, that's the first time I seen someone look like that. Like, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I didn't. Of course, I didn't say anything to him, but I was just like, I was really in awe with his physique. And we get on the field, and this guy is moving like he's 170, just cooking people. Nobody could stop him, right? And we get in the game, same thing. You guys seen his career. I mean, and so one day, he says, I made a mistake and something, and he kind of corrected me and helped me. And so then I took the opportunity to ask him. I said, hey, man, what do you do in the offseason? I gotta ask. I've never seen anybody just like move the way you move at this size. And he says, I really have I have a really good trainer. He has a team and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, and then after the season, actually, he introduced me to his trainer. And so I went to Atlanta, and I trained with his trainer for 2 months. And that was when everything changed for me. First thing they did, he said, look, he said, as long as you up, I want you eating every 4 hours. I don't ever want you to go 4 hours without eating. But it was clean. Chicken breast, vegetables, rice, fish, fruit, nuts. He said, if you drink, which I would never been a big drinker. He said, but if you do drink, vodka water, less calories, and he says, and then that was the first time they put me on supplements, like different, vitamins and different amino acids, protein, creatine. And the key thing was, which I didn't know, you have a 30-minute window after you work out where oxygen is flowing to your muscles. That's the time when you want to feed your muscles, which I didn't know. And that's why I would die out. When I went to Kansas City, first 2 weeks, I lit the camp up on fire. I was just talking to camp, but my body just died because I wasn't eating. You're tired. I was just eating fruit, and my body died out. You're in 100-degree weather, and 2 days, and if you're not, and so yeah, and so and then this is another key thing. So after every workout, they had me eat a steak, sweet potato, and broccoli after every workout. I left there in 2 months. I left there. I was 207.
Damn.
And 207. And when I got there, I was 193, and I was like 8.9% body fat. I left 207. I was 7.5% body fat. So that's the year I signed with Washington, the Redskins, which is now the Commanders. I go there and I do our off-season program that we're doing there. Why they pay you to work out in the NFL? So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I would do my trainer. His name was Buddy Prim. He was an ex-bodybuilder. But I would do his workouts at night, and he would give me the meal, like what to eat and everything. Follow his program, and I came in July. Training camp, I went in 219, 6.3% body fat, and I was faster.
Damn.
Just straight up muscle. Just muscle.
Yeah. Well, but what they did was, he told me, he said right after practice, after each practice, I want you to have a turkey sandwich in the cooler with your protein shake. Mm-hmm. Eat that, drink your protein shake, then go catch your extra balls in a jug machine, then go sit in the cold tub after every practice. Because what happens is guys do all those things, then they go eat. Now it's too late. And I would tell you, we're in 100-degree heat. Mm-hmm. I didn't die. And at the end of camp, I was 216. I only lost 3 pounds going 2 days. Right. So that was a game changer for me. So I just saw what it did for me. And so that's why I'm very, very passionate about it. And I tell people, nutrition is everything. I was getting some dry needling done today, and I was talking to my guy from Movenetics, Mike. I told him, I said, you can't put regular fuel in a Ferrari. You can't, you got to treat your body I treat my body like a race car, and
yes.
With a race car, it has to be fine tuned because any little thing off, right? It's and so I really take a lot of pride in that, and yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's inspirational.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel motivated. I want to go work out now.
Yes, no, exactly. And I feel like putting down maybe an extra cheeseburger in a week, but
yes, more protein. If there's one thing we've learned right now,
just cut the first thing is cut. Is just, if you can. I mean, it's not easy. Is cut sugar. Limit your bread, limit your dairy. I know it's hard to just completely stop it. So, and cut soda. I mean,
I'm drinking and rubbing.
Those are the ones like right now. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm cutting.
Yeah.
Cutting right now. So yeah, cut those things out. That's a game changer.
No, that's very, very inspirational. That's for sure. We see it. We wish we had a lot more motivation to definitely follow through.
And you can't say life's busy either. You got to go do it, right?
No, you can't. You can't. There's no excuses.
No excuses. As we have the flag that everybody else probably has, no one cares, work harder, right? So
I saw that actually as Manny Arsenault was working out, and he had it in the background. So of course I had to go get it. And it's right on my basement. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Work harder. It's funny as you guys wrap it up. So actually, it's funny you bring that up. I've been knowing Manny since he was 12 years old. He's about 10 years younger than I am. And he lives in the same hometown where my parents moved to in Louisiana, Alexandria, Louisiana. And so I'm in the barbershop. He would be in there, come playing video games, little kid, talking trash. And so one time that's where I started training at too, right, in the off season. And so I would come in and out, and then I come to the barbershop, and one of the guys was like, man, you got to see Emmanuel. That was before he became Manny. He said, yes, Emmanuel, man, he's gotten big, and he was playing college his college career was ending. Last time I had seen him, he was in high school, and he had gotten bigger. And I said, and he told me he wanted to play professional football. He was trying to, and I said, well, call him. I said, call him and tell him to come up here. And so they called him. He lived right on the corner. He came, and I said, you want to play professional football? He's like, yeah. I said, well, meet me at the high school at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I want to see what you. And every time I would bring it, that's at that time too. So I'm like, I had just finished playing, so I'm like 32, I think. So anytime, like first time somebody would train with me, I would try to break them, and I would start off with a run a mile at a good pace for about 6.5 minutes, and then start doing drills. And he didn't have the endurance then as he has as he got older, because he turned into a workout freak. And but he had that look in his eye. He never quit. And I'll start making some calls for him. I was trying to get him into the NFL then. I called John Snyder, because John Snyder he offered me a scouting job when he was at Green Bay. So he valued my opinion, and I told him at that time, I said, this guy at least deserves a late round draft pick, like 6th, 7th round, or free agent at the time. And it was funny. I was in Vegas, and I ran into Roy Shivers and started talking to Roy, because they were doing a camp when he was with BC. And he says, oh man, we just signed a kid out of the SWAC, because he played in the same conference in my school. And he said, man, you are. So I was like, oh no. I was like, and you know what? I told Danny Machocha about him.
That's cool.
I told him about him, and they didn't listen. And he was like, oh, okay. I told them, and I told Mike Kelly was the head coach in Winnipeg at the time, and he offered me a scouting job. And I said, Mike, because Mike said, well, I want to work him out. I said, Mike, you don't have to work him out. I'm telling you, this kid is legit. I said, right now, he's about the same level as I am when I was peaking. He's going to be better than me. I'm telling you, sign him. And like a week later, BC signed him.
Oh my goodness. Well, eventually that was our win. So.
in the very end, we did indeed. And he's actually here in Edmonton right now.
Yeah, he did. The other day told me he was coming in to guest coach. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, Scott, before we let you go, we just have one last question. You have a podcast called Dreams with your co-host, Jackie Mitchell. Can you tell us a little bit more about the show and where we can find it?
Well, we're just getting it together. Jackie is coming in town actually this Friday. So we have our banners. We have our he's kind of spearheading, because he's done a podcast before. I haven't. So he's kind of spearheading, the logistics of everything. So when he gets in town Friday, we're gonna get together and kind of put everything. We're probably looking to launch definitely within the month. And obviously we created a social media page so far. Nothing major on Instagram and Facebook, and we will try to expand. We would just have such great conversations when we talk, and that's what. And what kind of inspired me actually was watching Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp, just their stories. And because every time we would talk, we would have similar stories. And I never thought it. I was like, man, that would be pretty cool. And I was thinking, like, who would I pair? Who would it be? And I was trying to think, and he's the only one that I would want to do it with. We played college football together. We grinded. We trained together. We played against each other up here. We had the same agent, and so we're, that's my brother. And so, I'm definitely looking forward to doing that with him, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Yes.
As we get going.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we definitely we'd love to stay in the loop, because we'll definitely give you some reposts, try to share it up, give you some promo, because frig, anytime you start up a podcast, it is a huge deal. And you had mentioned Jackie Mitchell earlier. You guys got to have fantastic stories, especially if we got a couple tonight. We know that there's like hundreds more out of you too. So no, that'd be fantastic. But we won't keep you much longer. Scott, will we be seeing you at Fan Day or the alumni dinner or the signing, any of that?
The Fan Day, which is the 18th, that's this upcoming weekend, correct?
Yes.
I have my touch football tournament where I gotta go I gotta go beat up on Shy Ross in his first game one. I'm gonna do a lot of posts this time, so you guys will see. And unfortunately, I won't be, but I am doing I think it's a camp on the 30th, something on the 30th.
Okay.
We're doing, and then I will be at all the alumni dinners. There's a wine fest. I'll be. Yeah, I was actually talking to I can't think his name.
JMO?
No, big office alignment. They play flag football. I can't think of his name right now. Yeah.
Is it Sorensen?
Sorensen. Yeah, Sorensen. He can move. Okay. After I did, so I can't think of. But yeah, he's we were just talking about that, and so I ran into him yesterday because they like I said they play in the flag league that I play in, and so we play against each other.
Right on.
That's so cool. Frank, now I want to go see one of these games.
I know.
To see all these alumni members.
We'll have to go check it out. But best of luck.
Yeah.
Make sure you win.
Yeah, good luck in the tournament this upcoming weekend, Scott. Man, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anywhere fans can find you, or anywhere on social media that you want to share?
Yeah, on Instagram, Scotty J 81 SCOTTY 81. Obviously on Facebook, Scott Cloman, Scotty J 81 on TikTok as well. But mostly on Instagram is where I kind of mostly interact. And I'll be posting lots in my stories on this. This tournament is called Mayball. This thing's been going on well over 30 years for sure. It's a big tournament. Wow. You get it's a big turnout. Probably total at least probably 40 teams from across the country.
Oh, wow.
The last 2 years, Toronto has won it. Actually, they have an alumni, Elks alumni on their team, Anthony Barrett.
Okay,
Yeah, he can run. He can still run. He'll be there too. He's playing. Yeah, so he'll be there as well. So it'll be some really good competition. We're coming in with a really good team. I'm feeling good. I'm in the best shape I've been in the last few years. So I'm definitely excited to go play.
Well, as you say, health is wealth. Really excited for you this weekend. Also excited to see you. We're going to be seeing you at the June 8th game for that alumni signing.
Yeah.
Possibly see you at the Wine Fest as well. I think we're still in the mix for that. But Scott, thank you so much for your time, man. The close show. This has been fantastic. I think we could probably have you on the show in the future because it sounds like there's still so much more to talk about. So, man, once again, thank you so much, and we'll chat you soon. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so
much.
For
having me. Thanks, guys, for having me, and we'll see you guys at some of the events, definitely.
Cheers. Go Double E. We'll see you soon.
Cheers,
bye.
And that was Double E alumni member, former NFL Europe.
Yeah. You know what? That's why I love having alumni here in our show.
And that will conclude another best of episode from the Elks Call Season 2. If you enjoy what you see and like what you hear, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and favorite button. We thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to head over to royalretros.com and use code Shotgun Sports, all caps, no spaces, to save 10% off on throwback CFL jerseys and official CFL PA merchandise. And stay tuned to Shotgun Sports Network for another episode of the Elks Call in the near future. Until then, my name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X, with the Elks Herd, and we will see you all again soon. Cheers, everybody.